Hey guys, tonight we're casting off into liquid darkness, where stars don't just twinkle, they scream directions. Salt crusts your lips as waves smack a double-hulled canoe carved from breadfruit trees. No GPS pings here, just your lungs sinking with the slap of wood against water. Let's get real. You'd last 17 minutes before crying for Wi-Fi. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Wherever you're curled up, Tokyo or Toledo, tap your local time below. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your bare feet grip damp planks as the Maui archipelago shrinks behind you, just a volcanic scar on the horizon. The Lapita people did this first, pushing east from Southeast Asia 3,000 years ago. Historians still argue whether their voyages were desperate escapes or curiosity-fueled rebellions. Either way, their guts outweighed their grumbling stomachs. Imagine trading Netflix binges for open ocean anxiety. But hey, at least they avoided rush hour. Stinging spray keeps you alert as navigators chant star paths passed down since Babylon had cigarettes. They're not reciting poetry, they're burning mental maps into your skull. Each swell becomes a breadcrumb trail. Cloud formations tilt like crooked street signs. And that myth about following sharks turns out tiger sharks migrate toward land. So yeah, our ancestors literally tailed predators to paradise. Quirky, but would you trust a shark over Google Maps? No compasses, no sextants, just the ache in your thighs from kneeling on coconut fiber mats. You learn fast. The ocean's a clingy lover. It drags at your hull, throws jealous waves when you glance at the horizon. Every twitch in the sail matters. When the Southern Cross climbs high, you head south. When it ducks behind clouds, you read the wind's moist breath on your neck. Stars aren't static here. They're ancestors winking through time. Your captain points to Orion's belt, except they call it Tataru, and whispers how its angle shifts with latitude. Miss that detail, and you'll spend eternity as fish food. By day, you watch rainbows, not for their beauty, but because their arcs point downwind toward distant atolls. At night, bioluminescence swirls around the canoe, tiny organisms scribbling "You're not alone" in blue fire. Days blur. Your tongue swells from rationed water. But then, a frigate bird. Not just any bird, a bloated one. It's been gorging on land-based bugs. The crew whoops. Its flight path becomes an arrow. 20 hours later, mangroves rise like spiky hairs on the ocean's chin. You found land using nothing but insomnia and bird vomit. Modern GPS could never. But here's the kicker. They didn't just stumble onto islands. They left markers, like Polynesian breadfruit pits, planted on each new shore. Geneticists found matching tree DNA across 800 miles of ocean. So yeah, Columbus had maps. These guys had gardens. Yet somehow, Western museums still display their canoes as primitive craft. Tell me that's not a cosmic level roast. You slump onto black sand as the crew unloads pigs and tarot cuttings. Waves hiss secrets you'll never fully decipher, like how many didn't make it. The answers carved into chants now. Your fingers trace petroglyphs of sharks and stars. The original Yelp reviews for wayfarers. As Venus rises, someone hums a lineage song so old it predates Rome's first sewer. Maybe tomorrow you'll set sail again, or maybe you'll just nap. You lie back against the warm outrigger, salt crusting your eyelids as the Milky Way bleeds across the heavens. No compass here, just your palms pressed to damp wood, the canoe itself humming with centuries of memory. That cluster there, Polynesians called it Humu, its tail pointing the way to Tahiti like a cosmic fishing hook. South is always anchored by the Southern Cross, its 4 stars a compass, rows older than any European map. Forget GPS pings, here's your secret. When Altair winks above the horizon, Mangarva's reefs breathe beneath your hull. Canoe elders claimed stars weren't just markers. They were ancestors reincarnated, singing directions through the dark. Imagine your great-grandfather's voice, trapped in Sirius, blazing blue-white warnings about squalls northeast. You learn to track Hōkūleʻa, Arcturus to the untrained, as it climbs to its zenith over Hawaii. Miss that sweet spot? Congrats. You've added 3 weeks to your voyage and a decade to your indigestion. Here's a party trick sailors used. Hold your hand at arm's length. Each finger's width equals about 2 hours of star travel. Orion's belt tilts. Adjust course before the keel drifts into the sea of forever lost lunches. Historians still argue whether zenith stars served as latitude markers or just poetic reminders of home. One navigator's journal swore dolphins could correct star paths, claiming they nudged canoes back en route during moonless nights. Ever tried naming 220 stars blindfolded? Apprentices did, fingers tracing invisible constellations, until the sky became a tactile map. Those stick charts you've seen in museums. Just crib notes, real wayfinders stored everything in wetware. There's debate about a lost star, a vanished guide called Hōkūleʻa that disappeared after a 12th century supernova. Some say it still glimmers sideways, visible only to those bleeding from saltwater cuts. You learn to read the sky's mood by color. Deep indigo means steady winds, while green-tinted horizons promise betrayal. Venus isn't a planet here, it's Taurua, the flirtatious one who dances too close to dawn. Cloud covering Hīkīanalia. Flip your mental chart upside down. Navigate by how waves reflect star glow. The real mind bender. Stars move faster the further south you sail. Or is it the canoe standing still? Legends say the best navigators could smell land by tasting star patterns on their tongues, sweet for atolls, bitter for sheer cliffs. Modern astronomers smile at that until they learn about celestial navigation lichen. Found only on 3 Pacific islands, it blooms white during specific star alignments. Coincidence? Your call. As constellations pivot, you grip the steering paddle tighter, body aligned with Polaris's faint cousin, Hōkūleʻa. Miss the rhythm of rising azimuths, and you're just another coconut bobbing in the void. But catch Hina's moonbow reflecting off Rigel. That's your ancestors high-fiving across time. Stars whisper. Waves confirm. You breathe inking tonight's sky into the permanent ledger of your bones. You lean over the gunwale, your cheek kissed by spray as swells rise like breathing creatures. That faint ripple ahead. Master navigators called it the whispering path, currents shivering upward, where distant atolls interrupt the sea's march. Your palms hover, feeling wind patterns like Braille. Westerlies here have names and moods. Huki slaps like an annoyed ant, while Awia croons lullabies through rigging. Here's a trick every apprentice learns. Spit into the wind and watch how droplets fracture. Horizontal spray means steady trade winds. Diagonal slicks warn of looming storms. Historians confirm Polynesians tracked bird flights at dawn. The angle of turn, wings betraying land's direction before it crests the horizon. Miss this? Enjoy your new life as a permanent seawater connoisseur. But the real magic lives beneath swell shadows bending around islands hundreds of miles away. Imagine the ocean as a trampoline, land masses denting its surface, creating ripple signatures decipherable by bare feet on hulls. Some navigators swore they could taste currents, the sour tang of equatorial flows, versus the kelpy sweetness of coastal streams. Scholars still debate whether sailors used wave echoes to detect land, like oceanic bat sonar, or if that's just poetic license. Hold this thought. Your outrigger just hit a sea stitch, crossing waves from opposing storms. Now's when untrained crews panic. But you grin. These clashing swells sketch a grid mapping the seascape through chaos. 18th century European logs called this demon water. Meanwhile, your ancestors were filing taxes in this liquid spreadsheet. Fringe tidbit alert. Certain navigator families bred dogs trained to sniff wind shifts. One account describes a terrier howling northwest 6 hours before a typhoon, saving a voyage the crew's own senses missed. Not all traditions survived. Modern sailors use barometers, but none match the panache of a storm-sniffing poodle. You crouch, fingertips tracing a rogue wavelet spine. This one's lazy, warm-bellied, a southern child raised near Tonga's fires. Compare it to that jittery ripple from the east, a frigid striver elbowing through the pack. Matching wave personalities to homelands isn't mysticism. It's reading oceanic IDs etched by thousands of nautical miles. Ever notice how swells get chatty at dusk? Low light sharpens your peripheral vision, tiny peaks gossiping about coral heads below. Navigators timed watch shifts to this phenomenon, calling it the sea's evening confessional. Fumble this skill, and you'll join the reef's collection of apologetic shipwrecks. Here's where Western accounts get it twisted. They called Pacific currents random, because they lacked the decades-long memory your people cultivated, those unpredictable gusts. Their seasonal operas, each act rehearsed for millennia, the jokes on colonial captains who drowned clutching maps, titled Here Be Monsters, while Polynesians lunched on fresh mangoes 2 islands over. Let's settle a bar bet. Yes, some navigators used submerged stones to amplify wave sounds, dropping megaliths overboard and decoding the watery reverb. But academic quarrels flare over whether these were tools or just sacred anchors misremembered. Either way, your crew's not complaining. It beats paying for Sonar Plus subscriptions. The wind shifts, a sudden ashy taste. Your neck prickles before your eyes catch the clue. Seabirds banking sharply, their bellies skimming foam. Time to reef the sails. That's not a squall approaching. That's Peel's third cousin twice removed dropping by unannounced. As clouds muscle in, you switch modes, tracking subsurface currents through hull vibrations. Without stars, wave patterns become your Braille. Each trough is a syllable, each crest a verb, the ocean piecing together urgent sentences. Your toes curl against the deck, translating the message. Bend south now, or spend eternity as hatchling fodder. Your grandfather's voice surfaces, a memory from 6 years old, skipping stones on Maui. Watch how they sink, he'd grunt. Same way waves die on invisible shores. You finally get it, 40 years later, salt water mixing with the blood your blisters weep. The storm hits. Rain flays your back, but through the roar, a faint, familiar pulse. The swell rhythm hasn't changed. You laugh into the gale, steering toward the next trough's whispered coordinates. GPS would call this madness. Your ancestors called it breakfast. Rain hammers the deck like a million tiny drums, your world reduced to soaked lazings and chattering teeth. No stars, no horizon, just the canoe bucking beneath like a panicked stallion. This is where dead reckoning earns its name. You become the clock, the compass, the crumbling map. Your tongue counts hours between thirst pangs. 3 dry swallows equal 1 hour at sea. Blisters pulse in rhythm with your heartbeat, each throb a mile marker. 18th century British logs mocked this as savage guesswork, until Cook's own surgeon stole notes from a Tahitian pilot. Here's a survival hack. Clench seawater in your fist until muscles cramp. Release. The tingling crawl up your arm mimics a sundial's shadow. Navigators argued if left-handed sailors tracked time faster, a dispute settled by who got proper burial rites after dysentery season, that gnawing below your ribs. Dinner was 19 hunger spasms ago, meaning land should appeared 8 cramps back. Either your stomach lied, or the currents playing prankster. Historians still argue whether navigators used mindful starvation or just hallucinated feasts to curb panic. Bend closer. Those aren't random groans from the hull, they're wave counts. Each plank creak corresponds to swell intervals memorized during training. 5 groans mean southward drift, 11 signal approaching squalls. Modern sailors call this pareidolia, Your ancestors called it Netflix. Fringe fact incoming. Certain navigators swallowed pebbles to track time via bowel movements. One account claims a chief pinpointed Tahiti's location by how long a swallowed coral chunk took to exit. Colonial diarists dismissed this as crude, conveniently forgetting their own mercury-laced constipation cures. The wind dies, sudden as a snuffed candle. Now the real torture, doldrums, no waves to count, no spray to taste, just listless air pooling like spoiled milk. Your breath becomes the metronome, 4 inhales per minute, 40 per starless hour. Notice how boredom itches worse than salt rash. That's your brain rewiring, ditching modern impatience for ancestral endurance. Shackleton's crew had journals and gramophones. You've got a coconut shell and the crushing weight of legacy. Clouds finally shred, revealing a moon so thin it could slice bread. You lurch upright, checking its angle against your handspan. 3 fingers above the horizon means dawn's closer than your last shred of optimism. The navigator's creed thrums through cracked lips. Float like the jellyfish, sting like the tide. Debate alert. Scholars can't agree if dead reckoning roots were memorized through chants or muscle memory. Your bet? Both. The proof's in your cramping calves, rhythmically twitching the same sequence your great uncle drummed at your christening. Your left toes tingle, the land's signal elders swore preceded safe harbor. Could be neuropathy from 16 days barefoot. Or maybe your souls finally learned to smell petrichor over open ocean. Either way, you pivot starboard. Sudden vertigo, the deck tilts wrong. Your inner ear screams storm surge, while your gut insists we're skirting a submerged volcano. Betrayed by all senses, you default to the oldest trick, hum ancestors' sailing hymns until the sea joins the chorus. Dawn leaks across the sky like a broken yoke. 3 frigate birds circle their shadows, stabbing the exact patch of ocean where the charts promised nothing. You grin. Dead reckoning didn't fail. It just negotiated some creative detours. As land shimmers into view, you spit into the wind, a final middle finger to doubt. The droplets scatter southeast. Right on course. GPS would have gotten you here faster. But not 1 terabyte of data can mimic the sweet relief flooding your marrow. Your blisters burst in unison, a grotesque round of applause. The canoe beaches itself, sand grinding like a satisfied cat. You collapse, forehead pressed to earth that doesn't sway, and finally grasp why dead reckoning's deadliest ingredient isn't math. It's the willingness to believe your own lies until they come true. Sand grinds beneath your cheek, a welcome scrape after weeks of heaving decks. Blistered eyelids crack open to winged shadows, slicing the dawn frigate birds riding thermals like drunken kites. You're trained to ignore land's sweet lure, focus instead on those jagged silhouettes. Turns dip lower when fish swarm near shores, their beaks sketching arrows toward breakfast and salvation. Mainstream fact incoming. Polynesian navigators followed golden plovers seasonally. Their migration paths became aerial highways to Hawaii. A feathered dart streaks west. You pivot despite screaming joints. Fringe alert. Samoan lore claims master navigators carried roosters blindfolded in canoes. Landfall announced when birds crowed at unseen shores. Never verified, but neither's your cousin's Tinder profile. The oldest joke among star readers: frigate birds are just GPS units with feathers. Their forked tails cut the sky into quadrants, each jerk, and glide shouting directions. You're pretty sure that one's stealing your hair for its nest. 3 wing beats, pause 7 more, an irregular pattern that makes your pulse quicken. Modern ornithologists call it foraging behavior. Your ancestors called it island's breath. Crusty lips form a hoarse chuckle. Where else but here would bird gasping translate to cartography? That dark smudge ahead, land or mirage? Wait. A fledgling tern wobbles past with a twig, its wings still pixelated looking. No fledgling flies 90 leagues from shore. Historians still argue whether navigators carried caged birds for direction, or just stalked wild ones like overripe papaya thieves. Your nostrils flare, decomposing coconut. No, frigate bird guano. The stench blooms like a putrid flower, its source hidden beyond the horizon. You grin. Bird poop as a compass. Navy recruiters skipped that brochure panel. A shadow streaks the water, a naughty tern diving. Rule 1. Never trust the first bird. Rule 2. Track where it came from. Your neck cricks upward, threading through clouds to the speck it burst from. 9 centuries ago, a chief's daughter supposedly navigated to Tonga by counting tern, wingtip flickers. Or so the chants claim. Sun climbs, heat welding your back to the canoe's hull. Debate brews in your salt-crusted skull. Are birds collaborators, or just hungry jerks exploiting your desperation? You settle on both, the same way tourists collaborate with Hawaiian shirt souvenir shops. Suddenly, silence. Wings freeze mid-flap like nature buffering. Your breath hitches, then the air explodes in screeches. 1,000 shearwaters surge northeast, a feathered tsunami screaming move your ass. Trick question. What's heavier, your waterlogged canoe or the regret of ignoring that sign? You haul the steering paddle, muscles ripping like wet newspaper. Colonial journals mocked these bird frenzies as primitive panic, right before their ships ran aground on well-mapped reefs. Admitted you're jealous of the petrel soaring, napwise with its beak open. Your mouth's a mummy's handkerchief. But here's the rub. Swallowing rainwater from bird-bounced leaves counts as traditional hydration techniques. Resumes, it does not enhance. Clouds crumple into dusk. That's your cue. Navigators timed landfall using crepuscular feather density, twilight bird traffic patterns more reliable than a drunk uncle's barbecue directions. You count 4 species roosting westward, their flight paths braiding into a runway. Final test, the bonfire gut check. Spark a flame, watch smoke tendrils. Birds avoid active volcanoes, mostly. If the plume veers left, while birds dart right, congrats. You found either Tahiti or an ambitious coral atoll cosplaying as paradise. A frigid splash down your neck, not a wave. A juvenile booby's poorly aimed breakfast. Take it as a compliment. You've officially blurred into the ecosystem. Fringe theorists insist some navigators could smell islands through rare bird farts. Peer review remains breezy on specifics. Moonrise paints the birds in silver outlines, living constellations. You finally understand why chants compared frigates to falling stars. Too bad they never mentioned the birdshot velocity of their guano. Horizon shimmers, no solidifies. A swaying green smudge births individual palm trunks. Your chuckle comes out a sob. Birds circle, but don't land. They've escorted you to the lobby. The rest is pedestrian. You later learn this atoll's been uninhabited for centuries. Perfect. Nothing to taint the triumph, just crabs judging your limping victory strut. As rituals demand, you bury 3 feathers facing Rapa Nui. Future navigators will either curse or thank you. GPS might have shaved 2 weeks off the trip. But tell that to the booby eyeing your big toe. Avian Uber ratings are notoriously harsh. The moonlit waves slap your canoe's hull in uneven hiccups, gentle nudges, asking for attention. You sprawl belly down across damp planks, cheek pressed to wood like a kid, eavesdropping at a door. 30 generations whispered this truth. Islands bend the ocean's pulse before they're seen. Swells should march west in tidy ranks, the Pacific's default rhythm. But here, your ribs confirm it. Every 9th ripple stutters northeast. Landmass interference, 101 water molecules bumping into unseen shores like gossip down a telephone line. Mainstream fact incoming. Polynesian apprentices trained blindfolded for years, reading swells through their hip bones. A rogue wave slops over your ankles, salt sting mingling with triumph. Fringe alert. Tongan lore swears certain sailors could taste atolls, their tongues tingling, when crossing anti-swells from submerged volcanoes. Less proven than Bigfoot's TikTok account, but who's judging? Your knees bruise as the canoe shudders, a sudden lurch sideways. That's the island shadow in action, swells warping around land like river currents dodging boulders. You mimic ancestors, dipping a hand overboard. Warmth, coolness, nope, just wet. Maybe those skin thermometers were metaphorical. Or maybe your calluses suck. Dawn leaks across the sky, your cue. Navigators timed swell intervals using chants, each syllable synced to wave collisions. You opt for humming Bohemian Rhapsody instead. Works shockingly well, turns out Freddie Mercury's vibrato matches southern trade wind cadences. 2 days later, the ocean yawns wide and lazy. Dangerous. Flat seas hide swell, clues better than fog hides icebergs. You resort to lying crosswise, body spanning the hull like a human spirit level. Hip dips portside, Starboard butt cheek rises, subtle as a haiku, but it screams reef ahead. Debate time. Historians still argue whether Mau Piailug used swell shadows during his 1976 Hōkūleʻa voyage, or relied more on dying elders' star chants, truths buried under 6 feet of oral tradition and semi-poetic license. Clouds congeal into your third squall this hour, rain erasing all wave patterns. No panic, you've memorized the swell's fingerprint from yesterday, a skipper's cheat sheet. It feels like dancing blindfolded to a song you hate, but know by heart. A current grabs the bow gentle as a grandma steering you toward cookies. Swell shadows grow jagged, their intervals tightening like a drum solo. Your spine maps each deflection. Sharp left curl, long pause, double shudder. Translation: lagoon entrance in 17 miles, or constipation. Either way lands close. Sunset brings the real test. Navigators swore new moons amplified swell vibrations, something about tides whispering louder in the dark. You're skeptical until the canoe starts thrumming like a bass guitar. Coincidence? Probably, but when a 7-foot wave sideways high-fives the hull, you bless the Hollywood timing. Midnight, stars smeared by clouds. Swell patterns now crisscross like drunken spiders. Your kneecaps become seismographs, tracking conflicting pulses. One rhythm's familiar, the 7-part lope of Tuamatu atolls. The other, unknown, either undiscovered land or indigestion from that suspicious barracuda. Dozing upright, you snap awake when swell intervals hiccup. 37 seconds, then 20, then 54. Either a submerged seamount's messing with flows, or Poseidon's binge drinking again. You bet on the seamount and veer southeast. By noon, frigate birds appear, their screeches syncopated with wave crashes. The ocean here puckers, swells colliding in V shapes that scream land sandwich. Of course, it's the Marquesas calling card. 3 days early. Should have bought a lottery ticket instead of sunscreen. Final approach. Waves now pile up like traffic cones around an invisible roundabout. You paddle backward, trusting the swell's push to guide you stern first through the reef gap. Colonial ships called these blind entries, ironic coming from guys who needed compasses to find their own boots. First whiff of mud, rotten and sweet. Swell shadows dissolve into coastal chop, their job done. You half expect applause. Instead, a stray coconut bobbling past. Nature's 5-star review, postscript, that undiscovered seamount from earlier. Turns out French hydrologists mapped it in 2009. They named it L'Épave in Udall, the useless wreck. Polynesians probably called it that bump near the eel migration route. Tomato, tomato. GPS could spared you the hip bone bruises, but explain that to the gang of remora fish now hitchhiking your hull. Free rides require entertainment. You owe them a swell time. The remora cling tighter as your voice rasps. First attempts at the old wayfinding chants. Your tongue stumbles over vowels stretched thin by centuries. Ancestral karaoke night gone wildly off-key. Navigators didn't just sing these, they weaponized rhythm against oblivion. Mainstream fact: apprentices memorized 200+ chants, each one a geotagged playlist of stars, swells, and storm signs. Lose a verse? Congratulations. You've potentially sentenced 40 relatives to a Kraken's lunchbox. Your current opus, Cumulippo's Wave, a bedtime story mapping summer currents between Tahiti and Bora Bora. Key feature matching each breath to a specific swell interval. Fail that, and you're basically just cursing in iambic pentameter. Fringe tidbit: Rarotongan elders swore certain chants could calm cyclones if performed while balancing a coconut on one knee. Unconfirmed. Also, why a coconut? Why the knee? Oceanic humors and acquired taste. You try the storm breaker verse, lowering your pitch until the canoe vibrates. Makimo atoll fishermen still claim this works. 3 frigate birds overhead immediately poo in sync. Coincidence or avian applause? Jury's out. Moonrise brings the real test, chanting latitude coordinates through nose humming. It's like beatboxing for Columbus. If Columbus had rhythm, modern hydrologists found these nasal drones match bathymetric charts within 3 nautical miles. Debate time. Historians still argue whether chants primarily stored data or served as ritual hypnosis for navigators, maybe both. Ever tried reciting pi while meditating? Now add undertow. Your throat's raw when the stars finally align literally. Southern Cross tilts into the chant's predicted position. The remora vibrate sympathetically, living subwoofers for your prehistoric Spotify. Dawn cracks open the sky, your cue for tidal ballads. Tongan Hiva Kakala tunes encode lagoon depths through vocal fry. You sound like a seagull gargling gravel. But hey, the echo sounding agrees. A rogue wave interrupts, streaking salt across your lips. Perfect. Molokai chanters considered accidental brine inhalation part of the curriculum. Let the ocean correct your pitch, they'd say, before coughing for 7 minutes straight. You attempt the forbidden whale's lament, a melody so precise it's banned outside winter solstices. Immediately, 3 pilot whales surface alongside. Notion, coincidence, alternative notion. You've unlocked Setarian tick-tock. By noon, the chants mutate, half-remembered lyrics spliced with show tunes. The stars will come out tonight takes on literal urgency. Julie Andrews would approve or file a copyright claim. Clouds swarm your signal to switch to storm prep limericks. There once was a wave from Nantucket, no. Ancestors roll in their reef graves. You pivot to Tongan rhyming couplets, marginally more dignified. Your final exam, reciting the 72-verse star compass backwards while paddling figure eights. 3 remora bail in protest. The rest seem weirdly into it. Fish tails tapping along like metronomes. Postscript, that coconut balancing trick. Tried it during a squall last Tuesday. Still picking husk splinters out of your thigh. 14 generations of navigators are laughing their skulls off. GPS could spared you the vocal hemorrhage, but those jellyfish pulsating to your off-key humming, they're basically groupies now. Encore performance at sunset, by demand. You wipe salt-crusted lips as the sunset encore fades, GPS-free and weirdly proud. But this whole chanting at fish business, you owe that to a grumpy Micronesian grandpa named Mau Piailug and his 34-day middle finger to modern navigation. Mainstream fact: in 1976, same year your mom was rocking bell-bottoms, Mau guided Hōkūleʻa from Hawaii to Tahiti without instruments. Just stars, swells, and the kind of side-eye that could wilt palm fronds. Colonizers had declared wayfinding extinct. Mau spit in their champagne. Your hands grip an imagined steering paddle, Mau's ghost tutting at your form. He learned from aunties who learned from sharks. Okay, not literally, probably. Though those Satowl fishermen still whisper about his talks with tiger sharks during storms. Fringe tidbit: Mau's star compass reportedly included a shark tooth and menstrual blood. Historians blanch. Island elders shrug, periods track moons, sharks track currents. You want pretty math or results, you blush into your canteen. Disorientation strikes at midnight, clouds eating the sky. Mau's trick surfaces from memory. Swallow spit. Feel swell direction in your throat. Tastes like salt and desperation, but the canoe shifts underfoot. Your gag reflex charts a course. Debate time. Scholars still feud over whether Mau's success came from genius or genetic memory. Maybe he just hated stupid questions, famously answering doubters with 5-hour silences. Try that at your next staff meeting. Dawn reveals your blunder. You've circled the same atoll twice. Mau's voice haunts you. Stupid doesn't kill, stubborn does. His apprentices walked home naked once, clothes confiscated, until they stopped sailing like blind bats. You mimic his squatting pose, knees screaming, nostrils flared to catch wind shifts. Supposedly, he could smell land 3 days out. All you get is sunscreen and regret. Note: buy less coconut-scented SPF. Stars return with a vengeance. Mau's star compass glowing in your mind. 4 quadrants, 32 houses, countless stories. Modern astronomers mapped his system. Turns out it accounts for axial precession. Dude was correcting for wobbling planets by squinting. A frigate bird streaks west, Mau's land needle. You follow until moonrise, and there's the problem. He used birds. You're using a sleep-deprived pigeon that's probably lost. Different tax brackets of desperation. Hunger strikes. Mau survived droughts by chewing pandanus sap and spite. You chip a tooth on beef jerky. Ancestral spirits facepalm in unison. The remora stare judgmentally, even they know prepackaged meat's cheating. Night 3 brings clarity or delirium. The ocean's pulse syncs with Mau's chants in your head. 15 words of Polynesian dialect, 72 possible meanings. Navigators called it the coconut code, layers upon layers, like arguing with a metaphor. Your breakthrough, realizing Mau didn't need GPS because he carried the Pacific in his liver. Literally. Island anatomists swore traditionalists had enlarged organs, biological charts, storing star paths. Autopsy reports remain controversial. A squall hits at dawn, your chance to test the wet blanket technique. Mau's crew survived typhoons by wrapping sails around their heads and laughing. You attempt both. Seawater up your nose smells like hubris. 20 nautical miles out, the signs converge ancient and modern. Floating leaves, confused seagulls, and a toothpaste stain on your shirt shaped like Tahiti. Mau would have slapped you, then offered mango slices. Pride tastes tart sweet today. Traditional navigation's dead, they said. 38 nations now train wayfinders because one man towed knowledge back from oblivion's edge. You add your cracked voice to the chorus, each off-key note a spark in the dark. GPS pings safely in your waterproof pouch. Mau's ghost mutters somewhere about soft modern spines. You flip it, the bird, Polynesian style, pinky extended. 3 rhythmic clicks, somewhere beyond the horizon. Frigate birds laugh in dolphin. Your palms graze sun-warmed logs lashed with coconut fiber, each not a math problem older than Pythagoras. This ain't your uncle's canoe. It's a floating village lashed together with spite and trigonometry. Historians confirm Polynesians sailed thousands of miles in these double-hulled beasts, entire families, pigs, and breadfruit saplings packed between decks. You try not to eyeball the 8-centimeter gap between hulls. They'll flex apart in storms like a boxer, rolling with punches, or snap like twigs. Mainstream fact, builders used only stone tools for centuries. Obsidian adzes, shaving logs into hydrodynamic curves. No nails, no epoxy, no whining. Trial by tsunami. Workers chewed bark into caulking paste like human 3D printers, spitting waterproofing wherever seams wept. Your teeth ache just thinking about it. Fringe tidbit. Oral histories claim master shipwrights could sing logs into shape, low chants, making wood grain align like obedient soldiers. Skeptics sneer until you see videos of Fijian elders bending century-old timber barehanded. You hum Bruno Mars at a plank. It remains stubbornly straight. Debate time. Researchers still clash over whether lashing patterns encoded secret star paths. Sure, the crisscross fibers mirror Orion's belt, but was that intentional or just sailors getting artsy? Try asking a traditional builder. They'll hand you a mallet and say prove it yourself. You kneel where hulls converge, the Manu carving staring back with petrified eyes. Pro tip, never sail a nameless canoe. These figureheads weren't decorations. They housed Aumacuous spirits who'd bitch slap rogue waves. Modern replicas use GPS units, which lack comparable sass. Wind tests the claw-shaped sail, a crab-leg silhouette stretched over bamboo ribs. It's triple-stitched pandanus leaf, because Polynesians invented tensile strength before it was cool. Your job, tacking against gusts without capsizing this museum piece. The sail snaps taut. Suddenly, you're fluent in Gallic curses. Nightfall reveals the real magic. No creaks. Flexible lashings let the canoe twist like a living thing, each swell absorbed, not fought. Colonial ships cracked under pressure. These babies just shimmied and survived. You're basically sailing a basket made by Spider-Man. Hunger hits. Original voyages packed fermented breadfruit paste in hollow logs, nautical spam that could outlast your student loans. You nibble a protein bar. Ancestral spirits side-eye your plastic-wrapped weakness. A frigate bird drops a fish head on deck. Point taken. Lunar glow spills across the navigation platform. No rails, no seatbelts, all trust fund levels of faith. Navigators napped here wedged between gourds, their beards collecting brine and birdshit. You attempt ancestral sleep posture and nearly roll into the abyss. Innovation, carabiner clipping your belt to a mast. Dawn exposes the true nightmare bailing. 2 hulls mean double the leaks. Traditional bailers were carved from gourds with perfect ergonomics, prehistoric Tupperware that wouldn't spill during hurricanes. Your recycled Gatorade bottle fails spectacularly. The Pacific laughs in wetness. Midday sun broils the deck. You remember the coconut fiber helmets builders wore, ventilated, buoyant, stylistically questionable. Your baseball cap melts onto your skull like a fried egg. Note to self, respect the fiber fro. A squall tests the rigging at sunset, those lashes stretching alarmingly. But here's the kicker. Saltwater swells tighten the knots. The storm becomes your free mechanic and your panic attack therapist. Each lightning flash shows the canoe flexing, alive and pissed. Landfall approaches. Suddenly, the design genius crystallizes. Those twin hulls aren't boats. They're footprints. Each voyage left a wake that said we were here, and we brought snacks. Colonial ships left cannons and smallpox. Choose your legacy. GPS pings, you're 7 kilometers off course, or exactly where the currents planned. Mau's voice whispers, are you lost, or just impatient? A flying fish slaps your cheek. Message received. The canoe knows where it's going. Your job is to shut up and bail. Moonlight bleaches the deck silver. Your 3rd sleepless night, rewiring 31st century eyes to read ancient skies. Remember the fiber fro helmet. Swap it for blindfold training now. Navigators once spent weeks sightless, learning to feel swells through their kneecaps like subway vibrations. You trip over a coiled rope. Ancestors laugh from the spirit realm. Mainstream fact, Mau Piailug's apprentices started as toddlers, each wave lesson timed with nursing breaks. By 7, they could name 32 star paths while half asleep. You attempt reciting constellations backward. Southern Cross, a crocodile jaw Polynesian pizza. A flying fish smacks the deck. Accuracy matters. Quirky tidbit, chronic stargazing caused temporary blindness called Matapo eyes fried from tracking galaxy cores. The cure: bathe in dawn's first light while chanting insults to the moon. You squint at rising Venus. Everything's still blurry. Maybe add more insults. Debate alert. Historians still argue whether navigators used psychoactive kava to endure sensory deprivation. Sure, mind-altering brews explain those star whales in oral histories. Or maybe staring at waves for 60 days just breaks brains sanely. You decline the crew's mystery gourd drink. Stars smear into comet trails as pupils dilate, your retinas burning celestial maps into memory. Traditionalists called this Nana Aikalani, eating the sky. You chew air for placebo points. Hunger mixes with vertigo. Breakfast is 36 hours away. Hour 13 brings hallucinations. Or is that Hōkūleʻa's ghost canoe gliding parallel? Ghost crews wave. You wave back. Real crews call you unhinged. An elder's voice hisses. Maintain eye contact with Altair, blink, and your lunch for eel gods. Training drills turn savage. Mentors hurl buckets of icy water mid-star calculation because panic management beats trigonometry. You shiver through the Pleiades coordinates. One latitude digit wrong, they'd make you swim beside the canoe with a friendly reef shark leash. Dawn reveals your mind's betrayal, mixing up swell directions and breakfast cravings. Was that east or a frying bacon sound? You're saved by zenith star drills when Hīkīanalia hangs directly overhead. Splash. The crew's teaching method involves paddles and incentive. Memory palaces crumble under fatigue. Instead of mentally shelving star paths, you're stockpiling panic. An ant's lasagna recipe surfaces, useless at 14 knots. Ancestral chants advise, forget your name before the oceans. You whisper Starbucks orders instead. Sacrilege. Shadow training begins navigating by the sun's arc, burning silhouettes into decks. You map yesterday's burns until clouds murder daylight. Modern solution: smartphone compass. Traditional solution: lick your thumb and pray. The crew confiscates your iPhone. Salvation tastes salty. Night 7 breaks you. Star patterns mutate into IKEA instructions. The gourd water's gone rancid, or maybe that's your breath. Sleep deprivation hallucinations feature tick-tock dances with disgruntled Amacua. Their review, 2 stars, would not haunt. A storm redeems the madness. Without compass or charts, body memory kicks in hips, sensing swell rotations. Burnt retinas catching Sirius through cloud cracks. You bark course corrections like someone who deserves to live. The crew nods, finally recognizing the human compass you're becoming. Landfall happens at high noon, your nose smelling soil before eyes see palm groves. The trick, taste the wind's sweat, elders said. Turns out sweat meant geochemical particle analysis via tongue. You spit out 26 mineral deposits. 5-star Yelp review pending. Post-voyage, colors scream. Modern life feels garish traffic lights blaspheming the sky's soft hues. You miss the canoe's creaks. GPS seems crude, like explaining love through tax forms. An email pings, your boss wants overtime. The ocean's laugh echoes through the delete button. Your fingers brush coconut fibers lashed to palm ribs, a spiderweb of currents and swells made tangible. This isn't art class. Marshall Islanders called these rebellists, stick charts mapping ocean highways without a single straight line. Waves curve as bent twigs. Islands become cowrie shells. You poke a dangling fiber. That's a typhoon's little brother, the navigator mutters. Poke it again, and you'll meet him. Mainstream fact. Europeans initially dismissed these charts as fish traps. Then, a navigator folded one into his loincloth and outpaced their schooners, island hopping, with no compass or charts. Well, no paper charts. His mind held three-dimensional swell maps that updated with each heave of the canoe. Quirky tidbit. Some charts included lie islands to foil rivals. Navigators memorized decoy archipelagos, phantom atolls only fools would chase. Your instructor adds a seashell where nothing exists. Now forget that, she says. But not really. Brain cramps commence. Debate alert. Historians still argue whether stick charts decoded wave patterns or told mythic tales. Maybe both. That shell cluster. It's either a seamount or where the shark god lost a tooth. You assign a 50-50 chance of being eaten either way. Memory training turns brutal. Close your eyes, mentally trace the chart's knots. A storm surge blasts the deck. Now rotate the mental map 90 degrees. Waves now approach from south-southeast. You guess. The navigator dumps a bucket of kelp on your head. Wrong. Try smelling the swell's breath next time. Dawn reveals the problem. Modern brains crave GPS grids. Traditional charts live like eels, slippery, alive, reshaped by each voyage. You attempt sketching a swell's shadow around an island. The drawing resembles a depressed octopus. The navigator lights it on fire. Better. Now the truth's in the smoke. Night brings star drills, but now layered over stick chart data. Sirius winks through a tear in the clouds. Your mind overlays twig vectors across the Milky Way. Somewhere, a hippocampus short circuits. The navigator nods. Confusion's the first sane reaction. Trade winds shift unexpectedly. Your job, recalculate, using only the chart's flexing fibers. They hum in cross breezes. Theories emerge. That's southeast. No, southwest. Maybe we're upside down. The navigator hands you an overripe breadfruit. Eat this. Wrong answers taste worse. Textbook fact. Anthropologists identified 82 distinct chart styles, each clan's methods guarded like nuclear codes. Your captain brags her family's charts included shark bite marks as storm warnings. You ask to see one. She smiles. You just did. Panic check your ankles. A rogue wave reorders the deck's stick chart disaster or divine edit. The navigator studies the chaos. Now we're learning. sea hates pretty maps. She stomps a shell cluster, new ghost islands born under her heel. Fatigue turns charts into Rorschach blots. That twig network, obviously a subway map for mermaids. The Navigator approves. You're hallucinating correctly. All maps are fiction until they save you. She tosses you a shark tooth. Don't swallow it. Metaphors get literal out here. Landfall tests everything. The stick chart's been chewed by rats. Your mind yanks backup data from somewhere. That dream about dancing eels. Turns out it encoded swell angles. The island appears precisely where your worst nightmare placed it. 5 more villages will hear about this. Post-voyage, Google Maps feels insulting. You doodle stick charts on pizza boxes. Friends call it ghost geometry. The Navigator sends a postcard. Burn those. Real maps dissolve in moonlight. You obey. Ashes swirl into something that almost looks like waves. The ashes of last night's stick chart cling to your palms like wet salt. Their ghostly swirls mocking the horizon ahead. You're not just sailing. You're a floating ecosystem now. Taro shoots lashed to the hull. Squealing piglets in bamboo pens. Coconut sprouts throbbing against their husks. Even the gods get luggage. A carved stone idol, side-eyeing the pandanus paste, fermenting explosively in its jar. Trade winds plaster your shirt to sweaty skin as the canoe surges east. Imagine highways of air and current. Muscat, the Navigator, calls them avenues of the seafoam people. Each gust pushes toward lands your grandchildren might one day name. Distance becomes irrelevant. Seasons blur into paddle strokes. You're not crossing the Pacific. You're sewing it together. Mainstream fact sneaks in. Experts carbon date the first sweet potatoes in Polynesia to 1000 CE. Proof these sailors reached South America centuries before Columbus. Your captain brags her great uncle navigated by following migrant cuckoos wearing tiny seaweed hats. You laugh. She doesn't. 3 days later, a bird with actual kelp strands nesting on its head zooms westward. Plot twist. Glimpses of other voyagers haunt the emptiness. A distant sailcloth fleck. Smoke from unseen cookfires. The Navigator spits into the waves. Those could be our cousins, or last week's shadow. You develop a irrational fear of time-traveling Vikings. Landfall happens in whispers first. Frigate birds appear, their forked tails slicing the sky into almost there. Swells trip over submerged reefs, stumbling into gentler ripples. Children are forbidden from whistling. Apparently, angry wave spirits hate jaunty tunes. You hum Britney Spears silently. Just in case, the volcanic peak emerges through cloud shreds. A new world demanding new rules. That breadfruit sapling you've nursed. Its first leaves will dictate sacred grove locations. Those piglets become land surveyors, snuffling territorial boundaries into the soil. Even the pandanus paste gets promoted to ceremonial sacrament. Your job, keep rats from eating the creation myth. Debate alert. Historians still argue whether Tahiti's colonization took 20 years or 2 centuries. Your vote? Check the pig genealogy scrolls. Those oinks carry oral histories. Night brings disorientation. Stars here wink in alien configurations. The navigator mutters ancestral names under his breath, rebooting his mental sky map. You try inventing constellations. That's clearly a turtle riding a surfboard. He throws a dried squid at your head. Call it idiot who misses the point, and we'll chart it. Dawn exposes the curriculum. Learn which fish signal freshwater springs. Memorize cloud formations that hover over fertile valleys. Forget everything you knew about tides. This island sucks waves into its volcanic veins on a whim. You nickname it Moody McLand Face. The captain threatens to maroon you with the fermenting pandanus. Survival gets granular. Coconut fibers become soil stabilizers. Shark teeth suture canoe leaks. That volcano starter kit rocks. Basalt shards strike sparks onto kindling from extinct lands. Everything's a transplant. Even the rats are stowaways from 5 islands back. You develop a grudging respect for their tenacity. Quirky truth. Some navigators planted coconuts with deliberately bent trunks, living signposts for future voyages. Spotting a slanted palm in 300 AD meant Hawaii. 500 miles, no sharks. Probably the act of arrival terrifies. Introduce new gods to virgin soil without offending local spirits. Bury the ancestral rock, idle gently. Its obsidian eyes now guardians of the eastern cliffs. Unshackle the pigs and name the first sow colonizer queen. She rewards you by eating your sandal. Days later, another canoe appears, cousins from Raiadia swapping stories through conch shell horns. Their navigator boasts of a melon-sized jellyfish guiding us here. Yours counters with a thundercloud shaped like my ex-wife. You marvel at how pathfinding legends get embellished in real time. Rain soaks the fresh settlement. Taro shoots perk up. Baby pigs root through your laundry. The fermented pandanus finally explodes, anointing the new altar with a sticky bang. Civilization officially begins. You ask when they'll sail again. The navigator nods west, where sunset bleeds into 1,000 unchained horizons. When the breadfruit's ripe, or the children grow restless, or the stars start nagging, he tosses you a bent coconut sprout. Plant this crooked. Our grandchildren will need directions home. The storm hits at midnight, waves like cliffsides, avalanching into the hull. You're not bailing water. You're shoveling the Pacific back into itself. Prayers become transactional. Cane calm these fists of salt, and I'll triple my tarot offerings. The navigator howls chants older than metal, his voice battling thunder's baseline. Your job: keep the sacred fire's embers dry in a double-wrapped gourd. Lose that spark, and the gods forget your existence. Here's a fact you can't swim away from. Scholars estimate 40% of ancient voyages ended in disaster. Your captain claims the 1976 Hōkūleʻa crew survived a cyclone by lashing themselves to seasoned koa logs. You glance at your twine belt. Maybe time to upgrade. Doldrums arrive as cosmic pranks, hot nights stretching like taffy. The sail droops. Stillness becomes a psychological war. You memorize every barnacle on the hull. Stars blur into a milky soup. The navigator starves himself to lighten the canoe's spiritual weight. You consider eating the pandanus paste. Once, its primordial stench still haunts your nostrils from Section 12. Quirk alert. Some crews kept moray eels in watertight gourds. Their wriggling patterns supposedly predicted wind shifts. Yours escaped day 3. You don't miss the bite marks. Modern minds might scoff. Why not wait for favorable winds? Patience wears coconut fiber boots. Each stagnant hour erodes purpose. The captain institutes hallucination hour. Share your mirages. First prize goes to a giant squid playing ukulele with Captain Cook's ghost. You stick to reality. Mostly. Historians still argue whether navigators intentionally sailed into storms to reset their bearings. Evidence, a few vague chants about seafloor doors to the underworld. Your soaked loincloth votes no. Rain arrives as betrayal, warm bathwater masquerading as salvation. It fills your stomach, but rots the breadfruit reserves. Hydration's a trap. You dream of squeezing juice from moonbeams. The navigator catches you licking dew off the mast. His disapproval could curdle coconut milk. 7 days, maybe 12, times a burnt-out star. Then a single gust licks your left earlobe. The crew freezes. Another whisper touch. Soon, wind's fingers comb through your hair, teasing the sail taut. The navigator grins, teeth like cracked coral. Tell the gods they drive a hard bargain. Land appears as it always does, first as insanity, then relief. Even the rats cheer. You're alive. Ish. Next voyage launches after the babies can paddle, or when the copra ferments, or never. Ask again tomorrow. Metal hulls screech into harbors, belching steam that drowns out chants. Missionaries trade compasses for Bibles. Their brass needles deemed God's straightened path. You watch elders hide star charts in tattoo patterns, cartography etched under skin. Children return from schools drilling longitude tables, their laughter forgetting how to name the 7 steering stars. A fact as sharp as a navigator's shell knife. The British Admiralty issued the Nautical Almanac in 1767. Its lunar distance tables shrinking oceans into grids. Your cousin trades his whalebone hook for a sextant. Progress, he calls it. You taste iron in the word. Here's the strangeness slipping through cracks. Rumor says missionaries burned chant books to fuel their printing presses. Truth, you find a half-charmed page in a hymn book. Moon phases disguised as psalm annotations. The priest glares when you hum the melody. Waves die under steamship wakes. Young men crew whaleboats now, harpoons replacing paddles. The last wayfinder dies, whispering star paths to his deaf parrot. You pocket the bird, feathers still smelling of candlenut oil. shifts its weight. Electric lamps bleach the sky, constellations retreating like shy fish. You attempt the star chant behind closed shutters. The words crumble, syllables lost like unmarked atolls. Historians still argue whether Venus was deliberately renamed Morning Star to sever its navigational soul. The answer licks salt from your lips. Quirk time. Colonists initially dismissed compasses as demonic. Sailors whispering the needle's quiver was Satan's heartbeat. Now officials jail those using primitive methods. You teach children to read cloud shapes as code, innocent game, or rebellion. The magistrates, spies scribble notes. Steel anchors crush coral gardens. Your niece enrolls in practical navigation classes, learning to trust punch cards over wave shadows. She struggles with the mechanical almanac. You slip her a knotted cord, mapping equatorial currents. Both systems fail during a squall. Her textbook dissolves into pulp while your knots hold. She doesn't thank you. Not allowed. Canoe sheds rot into the shore. Weevils eat the last stored pandanus sails. A dealer offers $20 for your grandfather's, adds its handle, still sweat-stained. You bury it under the breadfruit tree instead. Let roots remember. The turning point reeks of kerosene and betrayal. An Australian trader hires you as a local guide, then overrides your course with a chronometer's tick. His ship rams a reef your chants had avoided for decades. The court blames your outdated skills. Fine, £5 or 30 days' labor. You carve star maps into the jail wall. Guard calls it vandalism. Dawn leaks through barred windows. Somewhere beyond concrete, frigate birds still pivot on thermal winds. Your palms itch for a steering paddle. The parrot mutters forgotten star names in its sleep. You answer in low tones, a conversation the tides might carry westward. To someone listening. To anyone. Decades drip by like sap from broken coconuts. You emerge from jail to a world of concrete and satellites, radio towers where breadfruit trees once stood. The parrot's gone mute except when Mercury rises. Then it squawks Hawaii. Like a rusty hinge, newsprint blows against your legs. A photo of a double-hulled canoe named Hōkūleʻa, not Hōkūleʻa. Its crew wears sunglasses over traditional kapa cloth. Retracing ancestral roots. The headline claims you fold the page into a fish shape, origami rebellion. Mainstream history punches through. In 1976, Mau Piailug steered Hōkūleʻa from Hawaii to Tahiti without instruments. 2,000 miles of wind whispers and sweat. You touch the article, ink smudges like old tide charts. A teenager scoffs. Why paddle when motors exist? His skateboard grinds the fish-shaped newspaper into pulp. Shipyards reek of epoxy instead of coconut fiber. Volunteers lash Hōkūleʻa's hulls with nylon rope. The real stuff rots in museums. You recognize a face from jail, the guard now sanding deck planks. He avoids your stare. A radio plays Elvis over wave-slapping hulls. History winks through gritted teeth. quirky truth sneaks in. Crew members later admit smuggling Snickers bars. Emergency rations double as fishing lures. You spot a Mars bar wrapper fluttering from the mast. Tradition bends, but doesn't break. Training begins at dawn. Navigators memorize star paths using toilet paper rolls as sextants. Point the tube at Hōkūleʻa, the instructor says. Someone drops theirs in the surf. Laughter loosens the tension until a wave sucks the roll seaward. Omen or joke, the parrot cackles. You volunteer as chant keeper. The captain frowns at your tattooed hands, ancestral charts peeking through sleeves. Just don't do anything weird. That night, you hum the jailhouse star melody. Sailors gather like moths. Their smartphones record the forbidden tune. Progress. Departure day. Salt crusts your lips as Hōkūleʻa slips past Diamond Head. 200 miles out, Mau tests you. Which way? Your palm reads the swell's angle, muscle memory from stolen night voyages. He grunts approval. The GPS unit stays shrouded in denim, ghost in the hull. Storms hit week 2. Crewmen vomit into buckets. You vomit into rhythm, each wretch timed to wave cycles. Mau laughs through cracked lips. Good. Now you feel the ocean's pulse. Rain blurs the stars. The GPS stays off. Debate still rages whether its batteries died on purpose. Doldrums stretch time like rubber. Men count days by beard growth. You count them by frigate bird sightings. 3 means lands near. A crewman whispers he's using Orion's belt to track something. You correct his star names. That's Hīkīanalia, not Betelgeuse. He resents you until his sextant sinks. Day 33. The parrot screeches Tahiti. At first light, you smell it before seeing tire flowers carried on easterlies. Land rises like a mossy whaleback. Someone weeps into an empty Snickers wrapper. The GPS remains untouched, or was it? Historians still argue about that denim-shrouded bulge in the storage hold. Tattoos burn as you step ashore, your skin maps merging with ancestral sands. A child offers a coconut. Sweetness floods your mouth, nectar of the long pause between chants. Hōkūleʻa becomes a relic again, moored beside cruise ships, disgorging tourists. You find the old jail cell converted to a juice bar. Star carvings hide under mango posters. The parrot pecks at a laminated menu, plastic version of freedom. Months later, teenagers in wayfinding t-shirts beg for stories. You describe how sharks followed Hōkūleʻa for weeks, escorts or stalkers. One kid interrupts, but did you actually use the stars? His phone pings with a constellation app. You hand him a toilet paper roll. Try it. He squints at Sirius through the tube. Doubt lingers like masked shadow. Maybe Mau glanced at the GPS once, midway through a starless squall. Maybe modern hubris reversed the theft, using satellites to honor elders. Truth bobs between swells. The parrot craps on a Snickers wrapper. Final verdict. You return to the breadfruit tree. The buried adze has sprouted, handle fused with roots. Steel meets wood meets time. Chainsaws growl in the distance. You snap off a new shoot, green and supple. It fits your palm like a steering paddle. You balance the green shoot across your knees, its sap staining fingers like watery ink. A giggle cuts through the breadfruit leaves. A girl no older than 12 straddles the tree's fork, gripping a smartphone taped to a broomstick. "My starscope," she announces. The screen glows with a constellation app. Sirius blinks through masking tape residue. Her grandmother appears hands etched with Marquesan tattoos you haven't seen since the 70s. The patterns form wave crests around her wrists. "Alyssa's practicing," the woman says. You recognize the lilt, one of Mau's grandnieces. Her left earlobe bears a shark-tooth chip, new school mixed with old. History surfaces. In 2014, the first all-women crew sailed Hōkūleʻa from Hawaii to Tahiti. Not just sailors, navigators. You spit out a bitter laugh. Took 40 years longer than it should have. The girl aims her phone scope at you. Keela says women weren't allowed on canoes before. But Grandma says that's bull. The elder begins, then catches herself. A colonial misunderstanding. She unwraps a rice ball stuffed with taro. The scent of burnt coconut reminds you of sails catching fire off Niihau. Whispers from the past slither in. You recall jail cell rumors, how female navigators once used menstrual cycles to track lunar phases. Sailors called it blood reckoning, dismissing it until a storm proved them wrong. The method's real, but historians still argue whether men erased it or women kept it coded in midwife chants. Alyssa's sneaker taps your thigh. Does this work during the day? She points the app at the noon sun. You shield your eyes, only if you want fried retinas. She shrugs and sticks a leaf to the lens. Training starts at sunset. The grandmother, Lana, demonstrates knot tying with dental floss, stronger than coconut fiber if you double twist. Alyssa loops mint-flavored strings into a star compass. You contribute the jailhouse trick, navigating by prison floodlight patterns. Lana nods approval. Her earring flashes like a tiny moon. Rebellion brews at the canoe shed. Male crewmen scoff at nylon fishing line in the lashings. Sacrilege. One bellows. Lana tosses him a floss knot. Test it. The line holds 200 pounds of concrete blocks. His silence smells like shame and Axe body spray. You catch Alyssa sneaking Snickers into the supply crates. Emergency rations, she insists. Her pockets bulge with peanut shrapnel. Later, Lana confides, modern wayfinders track currents using biodegradable glitter. Dump a jar at dawn, follow the sparkle path. You pocket that tidbit for future ridicule or respect. Moonless nights become classrooms. Lana teaches Alyssa to read bioluminescence, microorganisms glittering like wet constellations. Phytoplankton combs, she calls them, tracing a V shape in the black water. You counter with prisoner folklore, how jailhouse tattoos could predict storms based on how the ink swelled. Departure day arrives. Alyssa wears EKG electrodes taped to her chest. Heartbeats per mile. She crows. You're tempted to ask if Bluetooth reaches the ancestors. Instead, you gift her your sap-stained chute. Better than a GPS. She sniffs it and wrinkles her nose. The canoe pushes off. Men still dominate the decks, but Lana grips the steering paddle. Her tattooed wrist flicks, correcting course by star swell. Alyssa's phone dangles in a Ziploc bag, still tracking, still doubting. You watch until the mast becomes a needle threading horizon's fabric. Weeks later, news spreads. Hōkūleʻa reached Rapa Nui with 3 women at dawn watch. Debates erupt online. Traditionalists claim Lana used sextants. Others whisper about glitter trails and floodlight logic. Alyssa's TikTok videos show her clutching the chute, now wilted, but framed in resin. You find Lana repairing nets at the docks. Without looking up, she mutters, "The doldrums almost broke us." Her palms reveal fresh burns, rope friction, or something fiercer. She won't say whether they cracked the GPS case, but her smirk suggests Jupiter isn't the only thing that rose in the east. Old men grumble at the beach park, their complaints carried away by DJI drones filming the next crew. Teenage girls practice knot tying with earbud wires. A toddler slaps a QR code onto the canoe hull. It links to Mau's chants. Autoplay disabled. Lana finds you under the breadfruit tree. Alyssa wants to try a solo voyage. You spit out a seed. It sprouts defiance. And she peels bark with a car key. We're using biodegradable glitter. Lots of it. Doubt lingers in the salty air. But so does the hum of progress. Hybrid, imperfect, alive. You pocket a fallen leaf and walk inland. There's something to carve, a new kind of map. The parrot watches from a power line. Its squawk echoes, a sound between warning and applause. Your fingernails dig into the sandalwood branch, splinters gathering where the old map ends. The parrot's shadow glides overhead, a squawking ellipse, until clouds eat its shape. You're 7 days inland now, far from Lana's glitter trails, wondering how soil remembers star paths. A truck stop waitress slides you burnt coffee. Her name tag says Mahina. The radio crackles about Jupiter aligning with Saturn. Tourist season's coming, she mutters. You trace the Southern Cross in creamer residue. 2 drops for Alpha and Beta Centauri. History surfaces. Pacific navigators pinballed between zenith stars, celestial markers that hung directly overhead at specific latitudes. Sailors memorized which islands lay beneath each zenith, like cosmic zip codes etched in Spica's gleam. Your phone buzzes. Alyssa's face pops up live from Hōkūleʻa's deck. Behind her, the mast tilts like a drunk compass needle. Uncle Kawaka says, "Hold my palm sideways." She demonstrates, fingers splayed against the Milky Way smear. You smirk. Westerners needed sextants, and slide rules Polynesians used fists. Spread your hand until index to pinky spans 10 degrees, middle finger up for 5. Navigators counted stacked hands from horizon, to star human trigonometry written in calluses. The cafe TV plays a documentary. An anthropologist insists zenith stars were only used in Micronesia. But you've seen Rapa Nui petroglyphs, where the Pleiades cluster nestles between a palm print and shark jaw, dismissed as ritual art until 2018. Mahina refills your mug. Tourists keep asking about solstice parties. Her shrug implies they'll get laid, and lied to a smiley face version of celestial mechanics. You doodle Deneb's path on a napkin westward arc, smudged by dishwater. Drizzle chases you under a bus shelter. A teenager films TikTok dancers nearby, their moves synced to a compass. Apps beeps. You remember Mau's grandniece teaching you star chants in a Home Depot parking lot. The Milky Way, bleached orange by streetlights. Night falls sharp as broken shell. You count 73 stars in Scorpius. Tail, the same number recorded in Bishop Museum's 19th century codex. Or was it 74? A debate rages in academic circles. One star's brightness dipped below ancestral eyesight or got lost in myth. Your hostel roommate wears a glow-in-the-dark star chart t-shirt. Got it at Griffith Observatory. He crows. You bite back the urge to explain how real navigators avoided Sagittarius. Too many leeches in the sky stealing direction. Old texts called it, the curse of crooked paths. Bugs swarm a flickering lamp. Their shadows make a stick chart on the wall swirls, and knots mimicking ocean swells. You snap a photo, accidental genius, and text it to Alyssa. She responds with a meme, SpongeBob holding a protractor. The caption, navigation degree loading, 5% complete. Morning brings humidity and bad Wi-Fi. You hitchhike with a botanist studying invasive seaweed. Her pickup bed smells like decomposing sargassum. Check this out. She hands you a kelp blade pocked with larva bites, tied clock teeth marks. Larva munching intervals allegedly correspond to moon phases. Skepticism itches like salt rash. The truck's GPS squawks about rerouting. You recall Lana scoffing at automated voices. A real navigator hears direction in cricket chirps. True. You've heard field recordings from Mangareva, crickets modulating pitches as land approaches. Science calls it microclimate shifts. Grandmas say it's ancestors whispering through insect wings. At a roadside fruit stand, you balance a papaya on each palm like Cook's men testing Earth's gravitational pull. The vendor laughs. For prayers, yes. He shows you a prayer duel from 1932. Sailors hoisting sugarcane stalks to measure star angles against eclipse scars. Rain returns, the heavy, possessive kind. You shelter in a library. A librarian nudges a microfiber cloth across dewy decimal 910. Her lanyard dangles a shark tooth pendant, acute La Lana. The genealogy section smells like burnt sugar and desperation. Revelation strikes between shelves 919.6 and 919.7, a memoir by a missionary's wife from 1895. Page 42's margin note. Kanaka men point armpits at stars to steer. Absurd, until you find a 1970s ethnography documenting underarm sweat patterns correlating with latitude changes, evolution of odor as navigation tech. Dust mites float in your nose's spotlight. Across the room, a student films a book page, likely for Instagram's academia aesthetic. The caption would miss the irony. Their phone's gyroscope mimicking ancestral wrist flick course corrections. Sunset finds you navigating Rush Hour by Venus. 2 streetlights form false zenith stars. Gas station signage disrupts the asterism. You practice estimating angles between traffic lights. A cop eyes you suspiciously. Are you casing stores or communing with Orion? Burgers sizzle at a 24-hour diner. The cook wipes sweat with a grease rag. Forearm tattoos ripple like tide lines. When asked about constellations, he points the spatula west. Stargazing. Try the landfill. No light pollution since they stopped burning trash. You hike past methane flames, fractured Cassiopeia shimmering through heat haze. The Southern Cross tilts drunkenly above bulldozer carcasses. Phosphorescent algae glows in puddles, DIY bioluminescence for the tick-tock deprived. Phone dead, you resort to shadow reckoning. The North Star plays hide-and-seek with smog. Did ancient eyes see clearer skies, or just better mnemonics? Researchers clash over whether modern light pollution altered human capacity to perceive star movement, or if we're all just impatient. Dawn cracks open the horizon. Your shadow stretches into a sundial gnomon. You mark 4 hand widths until sunrise. A trucker honks. His rigs paint job copies Hōkūleʻa's sail pattern. You flash the Navigators' salute, palm flat, fingers angled like Hydrus, the water snake. He doesn't wave back, just downshifts through burnt umber hills. Your stomach rumbles in 32-mile increments. Chronobiology's gut compass still functioning. Last night's mystery meat threatens mutiny. 3 hitchhiked rides later, you're back at the hostel. Mahana's shift ended hours ago, replaced by a teen blasting K-pop. The lobby computer lets you fact-check that Madagascan folklore tidbit, swordfish beaks, reflecting starlight as makeshift compasses. Debunked in 1953, but the image sticks. Razor fins slicing moonlit water. You sketch the Southern Cross on a pizza box, beta star smudged by pepperoni grease. Rotate the cardboard until the long axis points south. A dormouse scuttles across the Gakrux dot, temporary crewmate on your paper canoe. Sleep comes with cricket song and car alarms. Dreams splice star paths with highway lines, Jupiter hovering above a rest-stop Denny's. When you ask the waiter for celestial coordinates, he hands you a menu shaped like a compass rose. Morning light reveals the pizza box, warped by Do Your Star Chart, now Salvador Dali soup. No matter. Lana's voice sneers in memory. Maps are for the lost. Wayfinders carry galaxies under their lids. You rinse sap from your palms. The road hums like a slackened sail. Still, no answers, just better questions hidden in every tilted star. Could be worse. At least no one's suggesting you navigate by armpit sweat yet. The parrot lands on a dumpster, beak crammed with French fry wires. It stares like it knows your coffee-stained zenith calculations. Before flying off, it drops a gnawed motherboard, GPS coordinates etched by rodent teeth. You pocket the motherboard, its corroded edges snagging denim, coordinates pointing northwest. Rainwater pools reflect Orion's belt, but a rotten mango scent suggests land lies closer. Squinting reveals no shore, just heat ripples chewing the horizon. Cicadas throttle their buzz to 11. A heron glides low, a feathered omen with algae-slimed legs. You wade through shoulder-high grass, blades cutting cheekbone scratches. The motherboard's numbers match a derelict drainage pipe. Inside, bioluminescent algae pulses, blue-green threading veins through concrete. Tread carefully, each step flares the glow brighter. Polynesian wayfinders tracked similar light trails, microorganism, highways signaling seamounts beneath. 19th century logs prove captains mistook these glows for distant lanterns, steering ships into reefs, a fact omitted from most maritime museums. Your phone's flashlight ruins the magic. Switch it off. Let retinal burn carve starless voids. Soon, the pipe's ceiling drips with tiny lights. Glowworms. No snail trails. Hundreds of Placostylus mollusks ooze constellations overhead. Their mucus contains star-shaped calcium crystals, reflectors for the Milky Way's faintest photons. A coconut rolls underfoot, you almost face-splint into a puddle. Hairs rise on your neck. That's no coconut. A glass fishing float, cracked but intact, bobs in muck. Japanese, Norwegian, flip it. Faint kanji stamps confirm Takashima Trading Co., 1929. Historically accurate debris. Squish onward. Your sneakers emit questionable sounds. The algae path forks. Left fork swirls clockwise. Right fork shivers as if poked. Choose right. Kneel, dip fingers. Luminescent specks cling to skin. Flick them off, improv confetti for Mother Ocean's silent rave. The pipe dead ends at a storm drain. Climb the rusted ladder. Emerge into an abandoned golf course, sand traps choked with saltbrush. A groundskeeper's shed creaks nearby. Inside, mildewed encyclopedias and a whiskey bottle labeled Hawaiian fog cutter. Crack it. Inhale fumes sharper than betrayal. Taped to the wall, yellowed Polaroids of surfers riding tsunamis. Behind them, a tsunami evacuation map from '86. Scribbled in red, goatfish school at sewer outfall when lands near. Quirky, but not implausible. Ancient navigators tracked goatfish migrations, their snout whiskers vibrating with tidal shifts. Pocket the whiskey, wander toward a water hazard now hosting bullfrogs. Something glitters below. Dive in algae stings your eyes. Groping reveals a hubcap, its center punched out. Peer through improvised sextant. Align Polaris with the rim's dent. Calculated latitude. Approximately your dad's patience level. Dripping wet, you backtrack. The motherboard's GPS led to this. Maybe rodents encoded false data. Or AFUC, its decimal versus DMS coordinates. Check the numbers again. Recalculate. True northwest lies past the 7th hole's crumbling windmill. Dusk arrives with mosquito battalions. A drone winds overhead, its red light blinking like a false star. You chuck the whiskey bottle K-thunk. It shatters against the drone. Satisfaction fades when spotlights pin you. Security golf cart incoming. Sprint toward shoreline pines. Branches claw your arms. A rotting dock offers escape. Crumbling planks snap underfoot. Leap onto a beached catamaran hull. Hide behind its moldy sail. Footsteps retreat. Breathe. The moon bleaches everything clinical. Wait floaty bits in the water. Palm fronds. Flip one. Mangrove propagules. Nature's DIY land detectors. Polynesians knew these green spears meant islands within 4 days' sail. Cheaper than GPS if you don't mind swallowed seeds germinating in your gut. Mud squelches. You're not alone. A figure crouches, machete glinting. Lost? She asks, voice all gravel and honey. Her tank top reads Save the Hōkūleʻa line. Japanese railway activists make odd pirates. She gestures north. Follow the eel grass. Its ribbon-like blades flutter, parallel to hidden currents. 1788 journals document Maori sailors using underwater grass orientation, predating magnetic compasses here. Mainstream marine biology only acknowledged it in 2012. She vanishes into mangroves. You follow boots sinking in anaerobic muck. The air reeks of sulfur and bad decisions. Bioluminescence returns, this time in pinprick constellations below the waterline. Comb jellies, their iridescence maps cold upwelling currents, another animal compass. Debate among scholars rages. Did navigators intentionally follow glowing sea creatures or just stumble upon them? Either way, your soaked socks vote for stumble. Dawn leaks through buttress roots. You find her hacking vines. 6 kilometers west, she says, machete pointing where waves detonate against rocks. Your coordinates are landfill. But she tosses a seed pod, achiote fruit, floats east. Always follow the red. Squeeze the pod, scarlet juice stains palms. War paint or tragedy unsure. Wash it off. Hands now resemble crime scenes. Sunrise reveals a Cropic bag floating shoreward, its Indonesian script still legible. Modern flotsam, but the principle holds. 18th century canoeists treated foreign debris as land proximity. Alerts, a Chinese porcelain shard, once reset an entire voyage's course. Quirky facts beat Google Maps any dawn. She's gone, only boot prints remain. The motherboard buzzes. A final coordinate notification. 40 degrees west. Feed it to the tide. Strip salt-crusted clothes. Swim. Fish dart around your ankles, triggering the real lesson. Navigators discerned land proximity by species. Coastal fish have cadmium stripes. Offshore ones flaunt neon. Or is it vice versa? Historians still argue whether these rules were consistent, or just seafarers' tall tailies. An oil tanker blots the horizon. Its wake topples you, lungs burning. Swim harder. Watch for frigate birds. Their forked tails mean nothing now. They've traded atolls for garbage barges. Exhaustion wins. Float on your back, stare at cumulus. One resembles Maui's fishhook. Another, an Uber Eats logo. Cloud divination needs updating. Land appears as a smear of resort hotels. The motherboard's final waypoint, a sewage outflow. Irony stings worse than jellyfish clamber onto concrete. Security cameras swivel your cannonballing into a chlorinated infinity pool by noon. Towel off. Order fries. Realize belatedly the ketchup packet's expiration date outlasts your dignity. Sunburn blisters by evening. You trace peel patterns, flakes approximating Antares rise. Hotel staff side-eye. Let them. Tomorrow brings new coordinates, new ways to misread the world's messy compass. For now, the ice machine hums the same note as ocean whined through Hōkūleʻa's rigging. Close enough. Salt crusts your lips as night falls. That ice machine's hum now syncs with your pulse. Blistered shoulders throb in time with distant breakers. Polynesian navigators didn't fight this rhythm. They let waves dictate sleep cycles. Historical logs describe crews napping in 90-minute bursts, matching ocean swell intervals. Your circadian rhythms currently set to jet-lagged raccoon. Moonlight glints off the pool's chlorine skin. Ancient wayfinders lacked wristwatches, so they pissed time. Literally, sailors measured hydration cycles to estimate hours since landfall. Dehydration condensed days into a biological hourglass. Thirst became a progress bar. You sip watered-down margarita mix, modern approximation, and immediately regret it. Stomach growls like a feral cat. Starvation sharpened ancestral navigators' senses. Hunger pangs signaling distance traveled. Rumor says Mau Piailug fasted for 3 dawns before finding Hawaii. Historians still argue whether it was spiritual discipline or they just forgot to pack lunch. A security guard's flashlight sweeps past. You duck behind a flamingo float, its plastic beak judging your life choices. Twitchy eyelids betray 21st century sleep debt. Traditional voyagers napped upright, training bodies to micro-snooze between wave crests. Try it. Slide underwater, chlorine burns your nostrils, but the pool's hum blurs into something primal. Blink. The world tilts for 5 seconds. You're riding Hōkūleʻa's deck. No clocks, no GPS. Just hip joints registering swells, tongue mapping air salinity. Then a kid cannonballs nearby, the spell ruptures. Your feet prune up. Ancient sailors used wrinkled skin as a tide calendar. Submerge longer track creases, maybe decode tomorrow's weather. The hotel Wi-Fi password. Tradewinds 86. Close enough. Dawn leaks across lounge chairs. Bloodshot eyes spot a vending machine. Its glow a poor substitute for Venus rising. Navigators chewed a wah root to reset internal clocks. Natural caffeine. You settle for a Snickers. Teeth crunch through nougat. Sugar rush approximates ancestral alertness. Pool lights flicker off. True dark returns. Your pupils dilate like they're auditioning for a horror flick. Night vision sharpens. 17th century journals describe sailors developing owl-like sight after weeks without firelight. Modern science confirms it. Rod cells multiply in darkness. 2. Bad your phone's flashlight. Just nuked 3 weeks. Adaptation. Mosquitoes whine in triple beat time. Swatting becomes a metronome exercise. Some scholars claim navigators used insect bites as meditation anchors, pain focusing concentration. You're pretty sure that's revisionist hippie nonsense. Check your watch, it died hours ago. Saltwater corrosion. The universe winks. Polynesian kids learned star rhythms through clapping games, each sequence encoding star paths. Try humming the Big Dipper's trajectory. Bartender side-eyes you. Abort mission. Lounge chair vinyl sticks to sunburn. Navigators red land proximity through skin peeling patterns. Or maybe that's just Instagram wellness lies. Flip over. Avoid further epidermal betrayal. Clouds smother the moon. Without artificial light, you discern their silver linings, storm predictors. Instead, a tick-tock notification blinks. Decline. Let circadian amnesia reset. Dig toes into wet concrete, coolness spreads through bones. Ancestral navigators stood barefoot on canoes, feet detecting water temperature shifts. Your souls register Legos. A toddler's toy. Progress. Do forms on your drink can another ancient hygrometer. Navigators tracked condensation rates to gauge offshore distance. Humidity here, 100% bad decisions. A palm frond scratches the wall. Its rhythm matches the night breeze. Old wayfinding chants sync with such sounds, memories encoded in iambic pentameter. Your attempt sounds like a clogged garbage disposal. Your stomach growls B-flat. Ancient crews harmonized digestion cycles for morale. Group hunger became a dinner bell. Room service arrives garlic fries. The smell would lured sailors across oceans. Flip the pillow. Sand grains scratch your cheek. Microdermabrasion meets sleepover texture. Tahitian navigators layered pandanus leaves beneath them. Crunchy, organic mattresses. 5-star hotels use Egyptian cotton. Draw your own conclusions. Dawn's second wind hits. Caffeine withdrawal loops your brain. Ancestors brewed sea kelp stimulants. You eye the espresso machine. Its buttons labeled in hieroglyphic Italian. A jogger's smartwatch beeps. They check heart rate instead of star paths. Different kind of vitals. Polynesian navigators counted pulse beats during chants. Rhythm as odometer. Try it. Lose count at 13. pool filters gurgle imitation tide. Close your eyes. Pretend each mechanical whir is Hōkūleʻa's sail catching a zephyr. The illusion holds until someone inflates a kitty flamingo. Checkouts in 3 hours. Chronobiology lesson. Urbanization rewired your gut's GPS. Time to resync. Walk barefoot on the golf course, toe deep in dew. Let the eastern horizon press, reset behind your eyelids. Antares winks out as security shouts from a megaphone. Pulse spikes, flight instinct activated. Ancestors ran from hurricanes. You sprint from minimum wage enforcers. Same primal code, different consequences. Dive behind a hibiscus hedge. Frogs croak the minute rhythm of monsoon season. Some wayfinding chants mimic amphibian calls, rain predictors. Your heartbeat slowly matches their tempo. Coincidence? Maybe. The receptionist waves you inside, tropical ennui overriding protocol. Lobby AC numbs sunburn. Wall clocks show global times, Sydney, Tokyo, LA. Navigators used forearm shadows as sundials, wrist-based horology. You pocket a mint from the counter. Let it dissolve, menthol sharpness, like chewing wild mint on a night watch. Taste buds flare, briefly time traveling to a star-lashed canoe. Elevator music croons a diluted lullaby. Traditional voyagers sang to keep sleep deprivation at bay. Hum along, your voice cracks on the high notes. Close enough, exhaustion wins. Slump into a lobby sofa. Dreams arrive in 90-second bursts, wave intervals syncing with nasal breaths. Somewhere, Mau Piailug nods approval, or indigestion. Interpret freely. Your eyelids jerk open. No stars, no horizon, just static buzzing behind your temples. The lobby's fish tank hums where waves should roar. Disorientation's first law. Panic blooms fastest in borrowed light. 1875. The legendary canoe Emaitlua vanished for 40 days. Crew survived by licking dew off sails. Historians still argue whether it was divine intervention or creative urine recycling. A ice machine chokes on its own frost. You taste copper, adrenaline's cheap aftertaste. Traditional navigators chewed kava root to mute terror, natural Xanax with better branding. Your hand digs into couch cushions' fingernails, finding a fossilized Cheeto. Not quite sacred taboos, but it'll do. Shadows warp into shark shapes. Blink twice, they're potted palms again. 18th century sailors hallucinated phantom islands, mapping non-existent atolls out of desperation. You squint at the elevator buttons. Floor numbers swim like misplaced stars. Someone unplugs a floor lamp. Darkness lunges. Retinas scream. Navigators lost in the Te-Atarangi squall reported seeing sounds, thunder as purple streaks, rain as teeth. Scholars debate if this was synesthesia or collective psychosis from eating moldy bread. A vacuum cleaner whirs down the hall, its drone syncs with your vertigo. Ancestors used similar focus, fixating on one star during storms. Pick a ceiling speckle. Breathe. It's just water damage, but your hindbrain insists it's Orion's belt. Your phone dies mid-panic Google. Karma. Wayfinders memorized over 200 star paths. No backup batteries required. Modern fail-safe. Trace the emergency exit sign's glow. Stumble toward it, broken flip-flops slapping like injured gulls. A janitor's cart gleams with stolen midnight. Grab a spray bottle, impulse purchase. Lost Polynesians poured seawater on hot stones, steam whispers for land. Spritz your face. The lemon-scented mist suggests regret. Carpet static shocks your heel, welcome to modern omens. Navigators, red rogue, waves as divine punishments. You're just grounded by polyester fibers. Same difference. Wall clocks tick in discordant rhythms. Sydney races Tokyo. LA drags its hands. Ancestors timed tides with knotted kelp ropes. You count seconds between elevator dings. 1923 fail. Your reflection warps in a toaster's chrome. Pupils blown, hair Einsteinian. Explorers mistook mirages for portals, horizons bending like funhouse mirrors. Historians chuckle until they get lost in IKEA. A coffee machine hisses. Its steam carries ghost chants. Crews sang to outrun despair, baritones battling wind. Hum Hōkūleʻa's anthem. A guest mutters tone-deaf into their nachos. Fair. Security cameras pivot like wandering stars. Navigators cursed clouded skies. You're dodging Walmart tier surveillance. The night manager yawns. You mirror him. Contagious exhaustion. Oldest trick in the circadian playbook. Taste blood, bit your tongue during a microsleep. Sailors used pain to reset focus. Self-biting as productivity hack. Productivity influencers would stan. Dawn's first photons spear through revolving doors. Your ancestors greeted sunrise with knee-scraping gratitude. You squint, fumbling for sunglasses, half-blind and hissing like a vampire. Same solar ritual, less dignity. The lobby TV chatters about a missing yacht, coordinates scrolling like lottery numbers. 73% of modern adventurers get lost within 10 nautical miles, GPS or not. Your Uber's 7 minutes out. Check your pulse, thready Morse code. Navigators measured time remaining by heartbeat during famines. 61 BPM, either Zen mastery or impending hypoglycemia. A toddler's balloon floats past, its string taunts like a rescue line. Lost voyagers released parrots to find land, feathered GPS with existential baggage. The balloon pops against a ceiling fan. Symbolism's a bitch. You pocket a free mint, Last Supper vibes. Explorers carried fermented squid as emergency rations, protein and nightmares in one package. Unwrap the foil. Let the peppermint oil numb your panic. Housekeepers arrive, their keycard beeps echoing starter pistols. Time to move. Navigators rerouted by dolphin pods. You're following the scent of bacon. Humanity's compass always points to breakfast. Shove through exit doors, morning glare erases the night's terrors. The Hōkūleʻa crew recited genealogies to stay grounded. You count Starbucks locations along the highway. 3. Yes to overpriced cortisol. Tires screech your rides here. Drivers' aux cord bleeds elevator jazz. Ancestors navigated by whale songs. You're hostage to Kenny G trade winds. Never sounded so good. The car's vinyl seat clings to your thighs. Kenny G's saxophone liquefying your last nerve. You imagine Cook's ship surgeon sketching Tupia's star compass. His 1769 journal entry crediting native instincts while pocketing celestial formulas. 16 years later, Bligg's mutinous crew missed the real crime. Their captain's stolen wave pattern notes, labeled as personal observations. Rain streaks the windshield, each drop echoing British chronometers, drowning Polynesian syllables. Your driver curses traffic. Unaware, he's reenacting imperial hubris. 1793, Tahitian Navigator. My star maps got filed under Cook collection at the Royal Society. Historians still argue whether it was theft or cross-cultural borrowing, with extra colonizer swagger. Tires hydroplane through an intersection. Your phone slides under the seat. Crawling for it, you channel Bligg's crew licking dew off sailcloth post-mutiny. The driver eyes you via rear view. Lost something. Yes, the last 5 centuries of credit. A billboard blinks. GPS sail, never lost again. Irony stings. Bligg transported breadfruit saplings as slave plantation food, ignoring his Rayatian pilot's warnings about monsoon soil. The plants died. The Navigator's name didn't even rate a footnote. Your kneecap finds a gum wrapper fossilized to the floor mat. 18th century sailors called Pacific Currents God's chessboard, but Polynesians taught them the opening moves. Modern maps still use Cook's Magellan-like branding, erasing the tutors who schooled him. The radio flips to weather alerts, static crackling like old logbook pages. Scholars found Cook's discovery of the trade winds matching Tongan chant lyrics, word for wind, syllable for direction. Coincidence or colonial control plus C, control plus V. Your driver misses the exit. Trust me, shortcut. Captain Vancouver said that before his Hawaiian pilot Pao saved the Discovery from a reef in 1792. The crew celebrated with stolen sweet potatoes. Histories, a buffet. Invaders take all the credit. Streetlights blur into harbor lanterns. You rub fogged glass, half expecting to see outriggers shadowing the highway. Bligg's log described keen-eyed savages predicting storms by crow's nest spiderwebs. That chapter got published as his own meteorology paper. Brakes screech, you lurch forward. Seatbelt bruises join, the nights resume. Post-mutiny, Bligg navigated 4,000 miles in an open boat, using wave patterns his Fijian navigator boyfriend had doodled on a coconut. Historians keep framing it as British resilience. Rain stops. The GPS recalculates. Your driver hums My Heart will go on unintentional commentary. Spanish galleons carried Tagalog pilots under lock and key, their logs seized upon reaching Acapulco, Manila to Mexico in 80 days, thanks to men who died chained below decks. Drop off at a 7-Eleven. You exit into neon glow, a digital marquee advertising explorers' beef jerky. Taste the irony. It's slightly saltier than tears. 19th century whalers hired Rarotongan navigators as sea witches, then burned their stick charts as pagan junk. Your reflection warps in Slurpee machines. Blue raspberry, same tint as colonial maps. Uncharted waters, Cook's crowning achievement, letting Tupia chart 130 islands from memory, then claiming the Atlas as his dying gift to Britain. A truck roars past, its wake rattles the snack aisle, reminds you 1980s researchers found a Bora Bora chant, encoding Tasman's 1643 course. Dutch journals called it virgin root finding. No mention of the chant's composer, a 12-year-old girl. You pick a South Pacific Sunrise energy drink. The label shows a stock photo sailor, sunburned and triumphant. Real talk, he's probably malarial and lost, clinging to a stolen star chart like a cult pamphlet. The register beeps. History's checkout line never ends. Neon hums above the Slurpee machine, its blue light pooling around your sneakers like phantom tides. The energy drink fizzes in your grip, carbonation, mimicking froth on reef-churned waves. Outside, a truck sprays gutter water across the parking lot, its wake mirroring typhoon surges, swamping Kiribatis, outer atolls. Saltwater invades fresh springs there now, ancestral taro, patches drowning in brine. Mainstream news calls it relocation planning. Islanders call it losing their grandparents' star markers. Your thumbnail picks at the can's tab, a nervous tick hitching a ride since the 7-Eleven door jingled shut. 3,000 miles west, Marshallese elders teach wave patterns using YouTube tutorials. Teens snort laugh at grandpa's old-timey stories, right until the Navy's radar glitches during spring tides. Guess who they call to interpret the rogue swells? Ice crunches under your heel. You think of Hawaii's disappearing monsoon winds, their absence, scrambling traditional Malama, Hanua voyages. Navigators now layer Wi-Fi, weather maps over chants about Laemekhiki's cloud formations. Traditionalists grumble, purists die on reefs, they say. Moderates counter, even ghosts update their playlists. A delivery van backs into a puddle, its reverse beeper syncing with your pulsing temple vein. Somewhere near Fiji, a crew mixes diesel engines with Pandana sail rigging. Hybrid models, they call it, like Priuses with outriggers. Historians still argue whether adaptation betrays tradition or proves its resilience. Try telling that to the crewman jury-rigging a satellite phone into a coconut fiber hull. Rain starts again, fat drops smacking the pavement like impatient fingers. Tongan fishers whisper that moray eels grow restless before cyclones, writhing in sacred pools as atmospheric pressure plummets. Marine biologists roll their eyes until their barometers confirm the eels were right 12 hours prior. You press the cold can to your wrist, feeling the old-new divide thrum beneath your skin. The Hōkūleʻa's last voyage logged 19 unprecedented weather events, including a waterspout that danced alongside the hull like a drunk hula dancer. Crews now pack emergency desalination kits next to bundles of dried awa root for storm rituals. A clerk restocks Slim Jims, their plastic wrappers crackling like mast sails in a squall. Your phone buzzes with a tsunami alert test, the same tone cook's men might have used if they'd had apps instead of sextants. Teen navigators meme about it, photoshopping Poseidon holding an iPhone. The joke lands softer when your cousin's coastal village WhatsApp's flood updates hourly. Outside, a biker revs his engine through the downpour. You imagine him as a modern-day wayfinder, GPS jammed, relying on rain ripple angles across asphalt, not so different from reading trade wind ruffles on lagoon surfaces. Both require trusting patterns older than tarmac or timber. The energy drink's last sip tastes like lithium and lime. Tonga's last traditional star compass carver died in 2017, taking 30 unreplicated glyphs to his grave. His grandson CAD designed a 3D printed replica, complete with laser-etched constellation hashtags. Purists staged a die-in at the unveiling. Oceanographers ordered 12. Headlights cut through the mist, a blurred procession of red and white. You think of cargo ships rerouting from submerged atolls, their containers blocking dolphin paths. Navigators adapted once by turning planets into a compass. Why not tweak algorithms into star chart syntax? Ancestors laugh from the waves, or maybe that's just the slushy machine gargling its last blue swirl. Your shoes squelch toward the exit. A poster slumps in the window. Grand opening summer 2023. Edges curling like storm-torn palm fronds. 22nd century kids might study this exact moment, debating whether we pivoted graceful, whether we grafted tech onto tradition without severing the roots, whether $7 energy drinks fueled ingenuity or desperation. The automatic door wheezes shut behind you. Somewhere, a navigator steers into a hurricane's eye, updating ancient chants with real-time Doppler radar lyrics. Her paddle dips portside, correcting course, as the ancestors and algorithms argue in her headphones. Both, she decides, always both. Rain drums on your hood, each droplet's impact mapping longitude against your scalp. You tilt your face skyward, the same tilt navigators used when chanting place names into thirsty skies. Tongan elders insist certain vowels mimic waves, hitting specific reefs. AO vowels bending like swells around Hōkūleʻa. Fijian chanters disagree, their consonants click like paddle shafts, striking starboard gunnels. Your sneaker skids on a wet manhole cover, its concentric circles mirroring stick charts etched in 1800's Marshallese palm ribs. Those charts wove shells and fibers into storm patterns, but the real magic lived in the songs. A mainstream gem, the Bishop Museum's 1915 wax cylinders hold the last recordings of Kanhanamoku's Wave Rider chants. Fringe fact: some claim playing them backward reveals tsunami early warnings in dolphin whistles. A car stereo thumps bass through puddles, its vibrations echoing the chest-deep hum of Hawaiian oli. You remember the night your uncle drank too much ʻakolhau, slurring how each chant verse corresponds to 5 nautical miles. Later, his sober self clarified, it's about star sequences, not strict distance. Historians still argue whether chants encoded exact coordinates or just laundry lists of landmarks. You duck under a bus shelter, its bench graffiti carved with overlapping circles. The marks resemble Cook Island navigation tattoos, once inked onto a navigator's thighs, left leg for rising stars, right for setting. Modern sailors replicate them as temporary henna washed off after GPS-guided trips to Molokai. Purists sneer, though few decline GPS when squalls hit. A drainpipe gurgles like a conch shell blown low and urgent. Your throat tightens, reciting the only chant fragment you know, Alili Kaumai. 3 words anchoring Oahu's eastern shores in a 14th century melody. Scholars dissect such lines, counting syllables, as if cracking ciphers. Little mentioned, the chants lose power when transcribed. Ink can't capture how Tongan elders roll L sounds to mimic cresting waves. Sirens wail 3 blocks east, their Doppler shift, mirroring the Hōkūleʻa's crew, calling course corrections. You picture ancient navigators mid-ocean, throats raw from chanting against gales. Their songs didn't just describe islands, they invoked them. Tahitian lore claims a skilled navigator could sing up atolls from seabeds, given the right combination of lunar phases and bass notes. Your phone buzzes. A Google Maps pin from someone named Wayfinder Dave 94. The route snakes through 7 convenience stores, a modern-day star path of Slurpee refills and nacho stations. You smirk, though the joke crumbles when recalling Rapa Nui's lost birdman chants. Each year, swimmers raced through shark-filled waters to retrieve the first tern egg. GPS spoiled the stakes. Contestants now track eggs via Fitbit. Lightning forks above the 7-Eleven, its jagged path, mirroring the gung-ho alliteration in Easter Island's Tangata Manu ceremonies. Rain cascades off the awning, each curtain's edge recalling how Maori rain chants timed downpours to cleanse new canoes. Your jeans soak through, fabric clinging like kelp to a voyager's ankles. A delivery guy splashes past, his thermal bag stamped with a grinning cartoon tsunami. 30 years ago, Tahiti's last chant master died mid-performance. Collapse blamed on a mispronounced island name. Younger navigators swear his final gasp held the true pitch for finding Bora Bora. Linguists dismissed it as death rattle Oceanographers noted the barometric drop. You squint at sodium-lit streets, their grids warping into the Carolinian star compass. Each intersection aligns with a celestial body, Walmart, Lot as Polaris, Taco Bell as Vega. The real trick, navigating hunger cues when your internal compass craves Crunchwrap Supremes. Ancestors fasted before voyages, their emptiness ensuring clarity. Your stomach growls, a primal GPS, suggesting immediate ramen acquisition. Wind tears a flyer from the bulletin board. Its spirals mimic Tupia's stolen star maps. Cook's chronicler drew 74 Pacific islands from memory, their positions embedded in Rarotongan songs. Museum plaques label him a genius, ignoring the Maori informants who sang the data into his ears. Their descendants now sue for intellectual property rights, courtrooms, unequipped to hear evidence in 12-part harmony. Rain eases, leaving air thick with petrichor and diesel. Somewhere in Samoa, a teenager remixes navigation chants into EDM drops. Village elders shake their heads until the track tops Oceania's Spotify charts. Purists grumble about cultural dilution, their protests auto-tuned into the song's bridge. You step into a sidewalk stream, current tugging your laces like riptides off Niihau. Samoan crab migrations, once guided night sailings, their sideways scuttles signaling eastward currents. Modern nav apps use the same crab logo, pincers clutching a satellite. Conservationists weep softly into their field notebooks. The convenience store's neon hums louder now, its buzz syncing with the drone of cargo ships beyond the harbor. Each vessel's path overwrites ancestral wave trails, sonar pings drowning out whale-guided chants. You finger the energy drink tab in your pocket, its aluminum edge sharp as a navigator's shell knife. Maybe tomorrow you'll visit the marina, whisper old place names to the tide. For now, you let the asphalt's rain-slick grid carry you home, a land creature tracing shoreless paths. Your soles stick to airport tiles, each step's slurp echoing Portuguese caravels, tacking against trade winds. Overhead monitors flash departures, Singapore, Sydney, Santiago. Grids of modernities, precise angles. You trace a finger through fogged glass, drawing the fluid curves of Tupia's stolen star compass. Western maps need north locked in place. Polynesian wayfinders let horizons pivot like a revolving door. A janitor's cart rattles by, its squeaky wheel syncing with Cook's chronometer ticks. That brass gadget promised longitude through gears. Ancestral navigators measured it through lunar reflections on swells. Historians still argue whether Cook's 1769 Tahitian observations cribbed local techniques. His journals suspiciously precise post-Tupia, one mainstream nugget. The Hōkūleʻa's 1976 Hawaii-Tahiti voyage exposed GPS-era audiences to non-instrument sailing. Quirky twist, a Swedish naval academy recently printed wayfinding manuals on waterproof banana fiber paper. You lean against a charging station, its cables coiled like Marshallese stick charts. Modern nav systems scream control, autopilots barking course corrections through tinny speakers. Ancient Hawaiians whispered to Cain, god of pathways, seeking permission before altering direction. Miss a star clue. Western sailors blame faulty instruments. Wayfinders confess to poor environmental listening. Your phone pings. Google Maps rerouting around a phantom traffic jam. Algorithms assume chaos unless contained ancestral Pacific highways flowed with seasonal moods. Ever notice how GPS voices sound like disapproving math teachers? Traditional chanters used rising inflections, invitations, not commands. A toddler lobs a toy compass, its needle quivering toward a cinnabon stand. Magnetic north, one fixed crutch. Polynesian star paths shifted nightly, navigators dancing between rising Arcturus and setting Pleiades. Fringe theorists claim medieval Tongans reached Alaska, citing oral accounts of frost breath whales. Glaciologists counter, no hard evidence. Yet, you sip vending machine coffee, bitter as Blig's crew after their stolen bounty charts smudged. British naval manuals demanded obedience. Polynesian apprentices debated instructors under open skies. One method fears deviations. The other absorbs them like outriggers flexing through swells. Flight announcements warp into a soothing drone, almost hiding the irony. Modern planes use inertial guidance systems, conceptually borrowed from married-dead reckoning techniques. Airlines won't admit it, patents got a patent. Sudden turbulence jerks the cabin, your latte sloshes a Rapa Nui Moe silhouette onto the tray. Western navigation seeks to conquer unpredictability. Wayfinding collaborates with it. Ever tried the T Lapa experiment? Darken a room, swish a flashlight underwater. Those zigzagging light streaks, some Carolinian navigators swear they pulse toward islands. A baby wails 3 rows back, its pitch matching the fraught debate over Polynesian Antarctica sightings. Oral histories describe white land where clouds kiss glaciers, possibly the Ross Ice Shelf. Archaeologists demand sleds or harpoons as proof. Inupiat elders shrug. Ice melts. Stories don't. You flick off the overhead vent. It's manufactured breeze too sterile. Traditional sails breathed with trade winds, capturing their whims in pandanus fibers. Modern vessels muscle through gusts, diesel growls overriding the sea's whispered advice. Out the window, moonlit clouds form a navigator's star compass. European cartography prizes static accuracy. Polynesian etak reckoning embraces relative motion. Imagine 2 canoes crossing paths, their crews debating whose perspective is correct. Both arrive alive, both call it science. Your seatback screen shows the plane's trajectory, a rigid red line bisecting the Pacific. Below, ancestral highways hum with turtle migrations and equatorial currents. Western routes conquer. Polynesian paths converse. Flight attendants distribute customs forms, tiny boxes demanding declarative truths. Purpose of visit: business, pleasure, both. Wayfinders would add a fourth checkbox. Listening: touchdown jolts you awake. Rubber screech merging with memories of hulls, grinding onto Rayadia's reefs. Deplaning crowds flow like tide channels. You pause between moving walkways. Left to baggage claim, right to taxi lanes. For one breath, you inhabit both minds. The clockwork tourist checking Uber, and the ghost of Mau Piailug smiling at jet streams. The baggage carousel groans to life, your shoes still tingling from phantom waves. A pebble skitters across tile, chased by a giggling toddler in a turtle print shirt. You freeze, recognizing the game. Tide pool classrooms. Polynesian kids once learned currents by arranging shells as stars. Pebbles become canoes, dodging make-believe typhoons. Modern parents stock iPads with educational apps. Ancient ones handed their 3-year-olds fishing weights drills, disguised as play. Scholars confirmed it in '92. Excavations revealed game stones with star patterns on Ua Island. Mainstream museums display them as artifacts. Miss the chalkboard-sized coral slab at Fiji's Ruwa Delta. Its etched channels match seasonal swells, ancestral light bright for wave physics. You kneel rolling the stray pebble between thumb and forefinger, smooth as a porpoise's back. Fringe anthropologists whisper about moonlight exams, tots reassembling star maps using glow-in-the-dark snail shells. No proof unless you count Tongan grandmas who still teach the shell shuffle at midnight. A janitor sweeps up popcorn bristles, scratching rhythms like reeds on a Marshallese stick chart. Western kids memorize state capitals. Polynesian toddlers mastered star compasses before losing baby teeth. Historians still argue whether the Pebble School began at 2 or 4. Either way, imagine your nursery rhymes, including mnemonic chants for Jupiter's retrograde. Your phone buzzes, a notification about STEM toys. Irony tastes saltier than dried aculefish. Ancestors engineered hydrodynamics lessons into skipping stones. Modern science kits. Overpriced plastic. You pocket the pebble, its weight familiar. Some Maori families still bury training stones in newborns' cradles. Absurd, maybe, but GPS once sounded like witchcraft too. Overhead, a mural of airplanes arcs toward a fake sunset. No kid here sketches Orion's belt in crayon. Traditional learning flowed through fingertips, kneading breadfruit paste into island shapes, tracing eel migration routes with a stick. Muscle memory beat textbooks. A voice blares, unattended baggage will be destroyed. Security theater, yet another rigid system. Oceanic games taught flexibility. Drop a pebble in the wrong tide pool. Laugh, then adjust for the riptide. No failing grades, just coral scrapes and wet clothes. You spot a fountain, its ripples mimicking the Hawaiian cocoa game. Toss a leaf into swirling water, predict its path as currents battle. 7-year-olds aced this, while Newton doodled apples. European navigators carried lead lines. Polynesian kids had seaweed, its drift, revealing subsurface flows. A tourist drops a coin, wishing for good winds. Ancient children's wishes were exercises. Blow on a dandelion puff, chart each seed's escape route. Now that's aerodynamics. Archaeologists found shaved coconuts in Tonga, flight simulators for studying seabird trajectories. Your shoes squeak toward exits, air conditioning fading into salt-tinged humidity. Modern education segregates play and work. Ancestors knew the best lessons feel like cheating. Let UNESCO debate intangible heritage all they want. Real training happens where waves erase mistakes by dawn. A distant laugh echoes, another pebble clatters into a planter. Somewhere tonight, a grandmother on Maui hides shells in the sand. Her granddaughter's small hands will dig up stars. The janitor's broom freezes mid-swipe, his finger instinctively curling inward as he gestures toward a spill. Old habits. You catch yourself mirroring him, palm cupped like a canoe paddle, pointing directly. Forbidden. Navigators believed extended fingers summoned Kamoholi, shark god of wayward currents. Even James Cook noted this in 1778. Sailors baffled by Polynesians, using chins to indicate direction. Your passport jabs your ribcage, rectangular defiance of ancestral geometry. Modern travel swears by barcodes and boarding zones. Ancient voyages required bending every joint, steering with knees during sacred chants, left hands free for ritual gestures. Drop an oar. Perform 3 counterclockwise circles over your head, apology to Kanaloa, god of the deep. A toddler wails near Starbucks, his sippy cup rolling toward a trash can. Mom retrieves it left-handed. Wise choice. Some traditions claim the right hand channels inflammatory energy during solstice voyages. Fringe theorists link this to magnetic fields, claiming navigators' tattoos mapped polarized pathways. The proof: Samoan Pea tattoos resemble declination charts. You glance at your boarding pass, gate 17. Seat 42C numbers would have confused ancestral crews. Their counting systems hinged on poetic pairs, waves and breaths, paddles and stars. 9 coconuts stored meant enough, not a digit. Historians still argue whether this reflected spirituality or mathematical genius. A security agent's walkie-talkie crackles, static mimicking storm winds in a conch shell. You imagine sailors whispering to Lono, the peace god, when thunder roiled. Knock 3 times on the hull during squalls. Mandatory. Some captains carried curse-neutralizing coral chunks, Hawaiian TSA for angry spirits. Your carry-on wheel snags, spinning like a Tahitian top. Laughter bubbles up. Oceanic humor stayed brine dry. A bad navigator blames the jellyfish. Translation: prep better. Modern grumbling about flight delays pales against navigators reciting 2-day chants to calm hurricanes. Overhead, a flickering light becomes Mau's hook, snagging the sun. Mythic timekeeping, every voyage synchronized with lunar cycles. No Excel spreadsheets. Forget to trim sails during Hina's resting phase. That's worse than Wi-Fi dead zones. One Marquesan legend claims a chief turned to stone for eating reef fish during capo tides. You sniff, coffee and sunscreen conjure memories of kukui, nut oil rubbed on steering paddles. Sacred grease. Touch your face after handling navigational sticks. Rookie mistake. Purification chants were mandatory post-sneeze too. Western explorers mocked these quirks, then plagiarized the stellar knowledge they safeguarded. A flight attendant demonstrates seatbelts, metal clicks echoing like ad strikes on koa wood. Safety protocols aren't new. Canoe builders slept with their adzes, tools considered living entities. Steal one, death penalty. Archaeologists found Tahitian workshops with tools buried alongside masters, DIY afterlife toolkits. Your thumb grazes a Hawaiian Airlines logo, its warrior graphic stylized for tourists. Real wayfinders avoided warrior imagery at sea too volatile. Red cloth, banned during whale migrations. Even hairstyles followed rules, top knots loosened to receive star signals. Gate 42's display blinks delayed. Modern inconvenience earns eye rolls. Ancient equivalent, accidentally whistling at night, believed to beckon rogue winds. Crews would toss a crew member overboard as appeasement. Records from Raiatea mention a man who hummed tiki's melodies, sacrificed to correct his tune. A kid crumples a pretzel bag, the sound unnervingly close to ulu breadfruit being mashed. Ritual cuisine required silence. Eat facing east at dawn, with eyes closed, or risk insulting Cain, god of sunlight. Food waste went overboard only during specific star phases. Ecologists nod approvingly. Ancestral sustainability. You lean against a pillar, its chill reminiscent of pohaku stones anchoring navigational schools. Lagoon classrooms enforced brutal focus. Nap during star lectures. Your instructor assigned night watches for a year. Colonial teachers later called this barbaric, despite their own cane beatings. A janitor replaces the trash bag, knotting it with precise loops. Not his first rodeo or lashing ceremony. Canoe bindings used Senate cordage woven by elders. One miscounted knot could unravel a hull mid-ocean. Tongan legends speak of a canoe that disintegrated punishment for the builder's arrogance. Your phone dies, charging cables dangling like discarded fishing lines. Ancestors feared energy drains too, of a different sort. Sleeping while others paddled. Taboo. Modern crews on Hōkūleʻa still forbid card games, distractions, insult the voyage's mana. An Etihad pilot strides past, gold epaulets gleaming. Prestige looked simpler before. Navigators earned tattoos only after solo voyages. Fail. Your skin stayed blank, eternal resume gap. The most intricate patterns were reserved for those who'd survived starless voids, what we'd call equatorial cloud bands. A baby's sock lies abandoned, striped like a triggerfish. Mothers once sewed such patterns on infants' clothes to honor Hina, goddess of motherhood. Lose a child's garment, immediate purification, rite involving seaweed scrubs. Anthropologists found these rites reduced infant mortality, sterilization via superstition. You board, overhead bins clattering like bamboo cargo boxes. Flight attendants' instructions morph into a captain's pep talk. No unnecessary movement during takeoff becomes no sudden leans during celestial transitions. Turbulence, just Lono and Kanaloa arm wrestling. Seat 42C hugs you, a modern-day Voyager strapped in plastic. No chant precedes the engine's roar. No chieftain blesses the wing flaps. But as the plane turns east, you tuck your pinky finger. Just in case, your seatmate rolls up his sleeve, a tattooed Marquesan cross peeking beneath corporate cufflinks. Geometric waves radiate from his wrist, each line a family voyage encoded in skin. Missionaries tried erasing these maps in the 1820s, burning tapa cloths that charted star paths between islands. They missed the ink. You trace your own unmarked forearm, ancestral resumes, gone blank. Traditional tattoos took weeks, needles tapping to chants about the Pleiades rising. Fringe researchers claim untreated ink contained magnetized coral powder, a biological compass. The evidence: some preserved skins align north-south in burial sites. Overhead speakers drone safety instructions. Your neighbor mouths along. His lips form Hawaiian vowels, Keana hidden in Boeing's script. Every hula step once carried double meanings. Hip sways mimicking swell patterns. Hand flourishes mapping currents. Modern halau troops still debate whether the Ami rotate represents lunar cycles or steering techniques. A flight attendant offers pineapple juice, tinny sweetness flooding your tongue. Sacred festivals required taste tests for navigators. Bitter meant bad omens. Fail the sip, you're demoted to sailmender. Archaeologists found coconut cups engraved with star clusters, sipping vessels as cosmic cheat sheets. Turbulence jostles the cart. Ice cubes clatter like pebbles in a gourd. Storm predictors kept volcanic stones in hollowed logs. Rattle volume gauged squall severity. Lose your weather gourd. Use a crewmate's teeth as backup maracas. Dark humor alert. Dental plans didn't exist then. Your phone wallpaper shows sunset over Waikiki tourist bait. Real identity lived in tattoo needles and hula ankles. Captain Cook's crew mocked dancers as entertainers, missing how hip gyrations charted the Big Island's coastline. Miss a step. You're not just offbeat, you're geographically lost. The in-flight map blinks, GPS coordinates updating obsessively. Ancestors stored entire atlases in Oli chants, birth certificates written in melody. Scholars still argue whether certain falsettos marked typhoon zones or good fishing holes. Recording studios would have blown their minds. A baby wails 3 rows up, its onesie patterned with cartoon turtles. Protective symbolism, too. Mothers once stitched real turtle shells into infants' mats, carapace scoots, aligning with star clusters. Crib navigation, lose the mat. Instant bad luck. Marine biologists note these shells dampen electromagnetic interference, an accidental Faraday cage. You doodle stars on a napkin, your pen skating through constellations. Traditional tattooists use jabs, not lines, skin perforated in celestial dot-to-dots. Modern artists dismiss this as primitive until they try replicating the pain tolerance. Procrastination, pro tip, no redos on sunburned shoulders. Your seat reclines, aging hydraulics hissing like conch-blown warnings. Chiefs prohibited lying flat at sea, posture showed respect to the horizon. Slouch, you owe a pig to the gods. Economy class would have sparked divine bankruptcy. Land flickers through clouds, a shimmer that isn't glass or water. Navigators defined coastlines by how light fractured green flashes meant coral reefs before the word refraction existed. Poet versus physicist, same observation, different thesauruses. The captain announces descent, the word Honolulu mangled through his accent. Hearing it mispronounced stings like salt on fresh ink. Proper vowels weren't pedantry. They anchored creation, chants, to specific valleys. A misplaced glottal stop could redirect typhoons. Maybe still does. Baggage claim carousels spin modern cargo nets. Voyaging canoes carried breadfruit saplings and volcanic soil mobile ecosystems. Lose a plant, the gods might take your hair. Bald navigators had tragic backstories. You exit into foggy air, the smell of burning sugarcane long gone. What remains? Hula's hip sways in tick-tock dances. Tattoo needles buzzing in gentrified parlors. Navigational chants auto-tuned into breakup songs. You hail a cab with an upturned palm, the old way. The driver nods. Some maps never fade. The cab's vinyl seat sticks to your thighs, Hawaiian humidity welding skin to pleather. Your driver fiddles with a dashboard hula girl, her grass skirt swaying to pothole rhythms. Ever hear about the guy who sailed solo using his ancestors' star maps? He asks, sun-cracked lips curving upward. You shake your head. The AC wheezes conquest-era sea shanties through dusty vents. He taps a faded photo taped to his visor. A canoe cutting through moonlit waves. Nainoa Thompson, his grandfather's name meaning the Freedoms, crossed 2,000 miles in 1980. No compass, no radio, just chants and a rock he'd rub till his thumbs bled. Historians still argue whether his journal sketches were star charts or mirage-induced doodles. Rain streaks the windshield, each droplet warping streetlights into ephemeral constellations. You imagine Thompson's hands gripping damp, steering paddles, calluses splitting under salt and doubt. His only clock, the ulcer gnawing his stomach. Hunger pangs marked lunar cycles better than any sundial. The cab lurches your forehead, bumps the lay free since 2009 sticker. Dark joke incoming. GPS says I'm 5 minutes away Thompson style. We'll get there eventually. He laughs, a sound like coconuts clattering downhill. Night deepens. Neon signs blur into phosphorescent plankton. The ghostly trails navigators once followed. Thompson reportedly talked to passing sharks, bargaining for safe passage. Marine biologists cringe tour guides, swear it's why tiger sharks avoided his hull. Skeptics counter that fasting hallucinations make great campfire tailies. Your phone buzzes, a friend's meme about suburban dads navigating hardware stores. You smirk. Thompson reused his own hair for fishing line when supplies ran low. Bad hair day. More like emergency survival kit. Brakes screech. A feral chicken sprints across Calicoa Avenue. Island traffic. The driver shrugs. Thompson's boat once drifted for weeks in windless doldrums, freshwater, rationed to a teaspoon daily. He drank rain off the sail, lips pressed to mildew. You sip your water bottle guiltily. The radio crackles, a weather report about trade winds shifting. Modern sailors use apps. Thompson used cloud formations shaped like his daughter's nostrils. True, unclear, but the guy's Instagram. All clouds. Moonlight glints off Waikiki's high-rises, their windows mimicking star patterns. You squint. Is that Orion or a timeshare's emergency exit sign? Thompson navigated by star azimuths, the angle where celestial bodies kiss the horizon. Mistake a star's rise. You're off course faster than a tourist, forgetting SPF 100. The cab idles outside your hotel meter, ticking like a stressed-out heartbeat. Final trivia bomb. Thompson's crew nicknamed his canoe the Psych Ward. Solitude turned the hull into an echo chamber. You overtipping. Justified driving Oahu traffic requires wayfinding skills of its own. He peels away, taillights dissolving into the sodium vapor night. Somewhere beyond the reef break, waves still carry the memory of a lone navigator singing to sharks. You check your reflection, no tattoos yet, but the stars, always there, waiting. A security guard waves you into a darkened hall, air conditioning, prickling sweat into goosebumps. Rows of glowing domes hum like beehives, each one a digital planetarium, resurrecting millennia-old skies. A teenager adjusts his VR headset, antennae bristling with motion trackers. This beats from a 14th century Tongan storm chant. He mutters, subwoofers vibrating your molars. You squint at a screen flashing star paths. Its interface combining Fijian stick charts with quantum physics equations. Mainstream historians note how the Polynesian Voyaging Society used the Bishop Museum Planetarium in the 1970s. Projectors mapping vanished constellations onto crumbling ceilings. One technician whispers that mentors still slip trainees psychedelics to simulate week 5 at sea. The state denies it, while selling Navigators blend kava at the gift shop. Ice clinks in someone's soda, a sound magnified by the dome's acoustics. A student curses her holographic Southern Cross drifting into Orion's armpit. Back in Mau's day, you'd navigate by how your pee hit the ocean. An instructor smirks. Yellow meant hydrate. Champagne color meant you're hallucinating. Everyone laughs nervously, except the kid, hyperventilating into a paper bag. Your turn. The VR headset seals over your eyes, its foam smelling of microwaved seaweed. Historians still argue whether simulators can replicate mercury poisoning's effect on celestial perception. 19th century crews swallowed the stuff for night vision. Digital waves pitch beneath your feet, your stomach, lurching in two realities at once. Panic surges. Modern sailors call this sim sickness. Ancestors called it Tuesday. A laser flashes. Mars glows where it stood in 1321 CE. You're supposed to steer via pulsar signals converted into ukulele chords. One wrong chord plucks. The canoe spins into a CGI cyclone. Legend claims ancient navigators tied their testicles to the mast during storms, pain keeping them alert. The tutorial skips that feature, probably for liability reasons. Blue light stings your eyes, a time warp effect allegedly mimicking sleep deprivation. You swerve past a virtual atoll shaped like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's left pec, someone's inside joke. Between drills, they test you with absurd quizzes. Which migratory bird is a better liar? Trick question: frigate birds fake fish catches to steal meals. Like that one friend who always forgets their wallet. A staffer resets your headset, fingers gloved to prevent cheating via temperature cues. Quirky tidbit: some trainees wear socks dampened with seawater to keep their electrons grounded. It's all fun until you realize the star coordinates are randomized. No two voyages identical. Navigation becomes jazz improvisation, scales learned note by note, then forgotten. Your final test: steer from Tahiti to Rapa Nui using only Coral Nod simulator paddles. Waves pixelate as you cross the date line, glitches blurring past and present. For half a heartbeat, you're sustaining on fermented breadfruit paste in 802 CE. Then CNN headlines about reef erosion pop up, the 21st century, gate crashing the simulation. The headset lifts, fluorescent lights hit like a slap. A certificate appears: basic wayfinding, level 2. Shame creeps in. You took 9 tries to spot Sirius through digital cloud cover. The kid beside you vomits into a trash can, a rite of passage. Instructors nod. Better here than mid-Pacific. Outside, dusk stains the parking lot pink. Your phone buzzes. Google Maps urging you to turn left in 500 feet. You silence it, the smell of virtual seawater lingering in your sinuses. Neon palm trees flicker, their lights almost forming Cassiopeia. Almost. The steering pad feels damp under your palms, salt water, or nervous sweat. Who's counting? Your footsteps echo across the dock rotting, wood creaking under neon-lit puddles. Hōkūleʻa looms ahead, her twin hulls patched with carbon fiber and braided coconut cordage. Historians love noting she's sailed over 150,000 nautical miles since 1976, the distance to the moon and halfway back. You clamber aboard, the deck smelling of epoxy resin and dried octopus ink. A crew member offers SPF 50 labeled colonialism repellent, someone's grad school thesis. Joke. They've updated the navigation stool. Now, a levitating smart seat TM with cup holders. The original 1976 manual frowns from beneath a tablet streaming tick-tock tide charts. Night falls. No VR headset this time, just the Milky Way's haze through Honolulu's light pollution. A teen adjusts the sails, his hoodie sleeves rolled to show forearm tattoos of star paths. Nainoa's great-grandniece redesigned these rigs using 3D scans of 13th century adzes, he says. Then adds, she also added Wi-Fi for memes. You're handed a Wayfinder's stick chart, its cowrie shells replaced with Bluetooth-enabled beads. One veteran whispers that they've secretly embedded strands of Mau Piailug's hair in the hull, a biocapacitor for ancestral intuition. The museum denies it, but everyone notices the security cameras pointed at the mast. Clouds smother Arcturus. The GPS backup beeps, its screen cracked, but still judging. You try steering by Venus's reflection, rippling in a tide pool. Historians still argue whether Polynesians bred bioluminescent algae as living lane markers, or if those green streaks were just whale poop. Either way, your bucket of kale smoothie isn't helping. Dawn leaks across the horizon. Frigate birds circle their shadows, glitching through solar panel wings. Someone's phone pings, a NOAA storm alert. The captain barks to stow non-essential tech. 23 devices hit a Faraday cage, the sound of modern surrender. You spot the first waypoint, a buoy shaped like Mau's favorite fishing lure. Crew members debate whether to scatter his ashes here or in 1990s Las Vegas, his secret blackjack sanctuary. Vegas needs the mana more. A woman laughs, her laughter dissolving into the rumble of tanker ships. A rogue wave soaks the deck, cold enough to make your teeth ache mythically. The diesel engine sputters, an intentional character-building exercise. You're given a flashlight wrapped in pandanus leaves. Emergency signaling meets arts and crafts hour. When the generator dies, steering knobs glow with stored moonlight from Antarctic ice cores. Recycled starlight, the engineer insists. You pretend to understand. Land appears as a smudge, maybe Molokai, maybe a carnival cruise ship. Celebratory spam musubi gets passed around cold rice, sticking to your molars. A crewmate hums the same storm chant from the planetarium, its rhythm syncing with the bilge pump's wheeze. Tradition and duct tape holding things together since forever. The dock reappears. Your knees buckle on solid concrete, equilibrium shot for hours. A volunteer hands you a pamphlet. So you've time traveled via canoe, CBD gummies inside. The Hōkūleʻa's GPS logs your route, uploading it to a blockchain labeled ancestral ledger. Walking home, you dodge lime scooters and potholes full of Maui onion chips. Venus winks above a Taco Bell, its light filtered through exhaust fumes. Your phone autocorrects wayfinding to waist training, the algorithm eternally confused. You collapse into bed sheets, smelling of reef-safe sunscreen and diesel. Tomorrow, Google Maps. Tonight, your dreams chart waves between parking garages, streetlights bending like the Phoenix constellation. Somewhere, Mau's ghost double-checks your star angles. He approves. The air still hums with phantom currents, your skin remembering each salt-kissed gust. Moonlight pools in the cupped palm of your pillow, a makeshift star compass. Somewhere beyond your window, Venus glimmers through power lines, stitching sky measurements across generations. Your aches feel earned now, the kind carved by hands steering through time. That Bluetooth bead chart, still in your pocket, its pulses faint as a petroglyph's heartbeat. You half expect Mau's chuckle when your phone buzzes, a calendar alert for tomorrow's meeting. Diesel and sunscreen linger, not unpleasant, like incense for an altar where wave meets microchip. The Taco Bell light's still blinking, but so is Arcturus. Both guiding, both constant. You trace the reef-safe SPF streaked across your sheets. Tomorrow's concrete jungle waits, its pathways no less mysterious than ocean swells. Streetlights will stand as fixed stars, traffic rhythms echoing tide charts. A moth taps your window, maybe a reborn wayfinder. You let it in. Together, you watch dawn's first blush warm the AC unit. The Hōkūleʻa's blockchain ledger flickers on some server, eternally rewriting itself between ancestral and encrypted. Sleep comes slow, a meandering current. Dreams carry you over subway grates, humming whale songs, past parking structures, crowned with star-turned cameras. Mau there, adjusting your pillow like a wayfinding stone. His nod says it's enough. You drift, not toward answers, but softer questions. How many GPS satellites hold fragments of old chants? Do frigate birds mock our Wi-Fi signals? It doesn't matter. The waves between then and now were never separate, only changing form. Your breath sinks with the fridge's tide-like hum. Somewhere, a coconut fiber rope still holds. Somewhere, a star still burns through light pollution. Let it guide you. The rest is silence.